Have you ever just sat completely still in a quiet room and noticed the simple fact that time keeps moving? No exciting adventure, no big event, just you and your thoughts, yet the seconds still turn into minutes and the minutes into hours. It's a strange thought, isn't it? How can something so constant, so unchanging, tick away even when nothing seems to be happening at all? Here's the thing. We often think of time as something that only really matters when we're doing something. Like when you're waiting for a bell to ring or counting down to a special day. But time itself isn't waiting for us to do anything. It just is. Imagine time like a vast, unseen river. This river flows steadily, always in one direction, always at its own pace. It doesn't speed up if you're running, and it doesn't slow down if you're resting. The river just keeps flowing, carrying everything along with it, whether you notice it or not. Long ago, a brilliant scientist named Isaac Newton thought of time exactly like this. He called it absolute time. For him, time was like an invisible, universal clock, always ticking, everywhere, for everyone, at the exact same steady pace. It existed on its own, separate from anything happening in the world. It was the background against which everything else unfolded. So, whether a star explodes light years away, or you're just staring at your ceiling, that universal clock continues its quiet, relentless count. It's a humbling thought, actually. This steady, independent flow of time reminds us that our moments are truly gifts. Each tick isn't just a mark of something passing. It's a testament to a fundamental part of our universe that simply exists, waiting for us to fill it with meaning. Time doesn't demand our action, but its constant presence certainly invites us to live fully within its gentle current. Have you ever felt like a single second stretched into an eternity? Maybe you were waiting for the final bell on the last day of school, or perhaps during a scary situation, everything seemed to move in slow motion. Here's the thing. Our experience of time isn't always a steady clock. Our minds don't just follow a watch. They sense how fast or slow things are going, making time feel like it stretches or shrinks. Ancient thinkers, like philosopher Augustine, long ago explored this. He believed that time isn't something physical you can touch. Instead, he argued that time really exists within our minds and our memories of the past and our hopes for the future. So, for him, time isn't just out there. It's also in here, inside us, shaped by our thoughts and feelings. This idea that time is more about how we feel it than just a measurement has been around for centuries. This can help you understand why a moment feels so long. When you're bored or anxious, your brain pays close attention. It's like taking many tiny mental pictures, making each second packed with detail. But if you're doing something you love, like playing your favorite video game, hours can just melt away. Your brain isn't as focused on every detail. It's just enjoying the flow. Scientists even agree, when you're in danger, your brain processes information faster. So, a short moment feels longer because you take in so much. And that's why it matters. This unique way our minds deal with time reminds us our inner world, our emotions. Our focus can change how we experience everything. A moment isn't just a tick-tock of a clock. It's a space for feelings, for thoughts, for life to unfold. And sometimes that space can feel limitless, stretching out like a vast, calm ocean. It's a poetic idea, really, that time itself can bend to our inner state. Think about yesterday. It was just here, filled with moments and feelings. Now, it's gone. Or is it? When a day ends, does it truly vanish, like a dream fading with the morning light? Or does it simply move to a different space, quietly waiting, like a book on a shelf after you've read the last page? This question about where yesterday goes has puzzled people for a very long time. For most of us, time feels like a river, always flowing forward. The past is behind us, unreachable. The future is ahead, not yet here. This is a common way to see it, and it makes sense in our daily lives. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Heraclitus, believed that everything is always changing, like fire. He said you can never step into the same river twice, because both you and the river are always different. Yesterday, in this view, is simply no more. But some other ideas whisper a different possibility. Imagine time not as a river, but as a giant, still painting. Every moment yesterday, today, tomorrow is already there, a brushstroke on a canvas that never changes. Some scientists and philosophers have explored ideas like this. sometimes called the block universe. In this view, every single point in time, every second, already exists. It's not disappearing. We are just moving through it, like walking along a path where all the scenery is already laid out. So when you remember something from yesterday, is it just a memory? Or are you actually reaching back to a moment that still exists? Like finding an old photograph. The moment it captures happened long ago, but the photo makes it feel present again. The past might not be gone. It might just be out of our direct view, preserved in some quiet corner of existence. It's a deep thought, isn't it? Whether yesterday truly disappears or just waits the way we remember it, and how it shapes who we are right now is very real. Our yesterdays build us like layers in a rock. They are part of us, whether they vanished into nothing or are simply pausing somewhere beyond our sight. Have you ever really stopped to think about that phrase, saving time? It's something we say all the time, right? Like time is a coin you can put in a piggy bank for later, or a leftover you can store in the fridge. But time isn't like that at all, is it? It doesn't stop or wait. It's more like a river that flows endlessly, always moving forward, never backward. You can't scoop up a bit of that river and keep it in a jar for tomorrow. For as long as humans have existed, we felt this strange pull and push with time. Ancient philosophers, people who thought deeply about life, often saw time as something vast and unstoppable, a force that just is. They knew it couldn't be controlled. But then, as the world sped up, especially around the time of great inventions and busy factories, people started seeing time differently. It became a precious resource, like land or money. Benjamin Franklin, a long time ago, famously said, "Time is money." This idea made us start thinking of time as something we could earn, spend, or even save. But here's the thing. When we say we save time, we're not actually putting minutes into a savings account. What we're doing is making choices about how we use the time we have. Imagine you decide to clean your room really fast. You feel like you've saved an hour, but that hour didn't disappear and reappear later. You simply finished one task quickly, which freed up that hour to do something else immediately, maybe read, play a game, or just relax. The hour itself kept moving, just now it was filled with a different activity. You didn't store it, you redirected its flow. This makes us wonder, doesn't it? If we can't truly save time, then what is our goal when we rush? Maybe the real wisdom isn't in trying to collect more time, but in truly living the time we have. Every second, every minute is a precious gift that flows by. We can't keep it, but we can decide how we fill it. It's about being fully present, whether you're learning something new, laughing with a friend, or simply watching the clouds drift by. Perhaps the truest saving isn't about hoarding moments, but about making sure we don't let these unique, unrepeatable moments slip by without truly living them. Have you ever had a day slip away, maybe just staring at the ceiling or scrolling on your phone, and then you sigh, "I wasted so much time"? It's a common feeling, but pause for a moment and think about that word, waste. Can you truly waste something that doesn't stop, doesn't wait, and doesn't change its speed for anyone? Time is like a river, always flowing forward, always moving from the future to the past. It doesn't hold still for us to mess it up. So maybe it's not time itself that we waste. Instead, it could be how we choose to live within that river. The Roman philosopher Seneca, long ago, thought a lot about this. He said people often live as if they have endless time, spending it carelessly on things that don't truly matter to them. He believed that our most valuable possession isn't money or things, but time itself. He wasn't saying time could be wasted in the sense of disappearing. He meant we often don't use it wisely. We might spend it without thinking, or on activities that don't bring us joy or purpose, and later we regret it. Think about it like this. If you spend an afternoon quietly watching the clouds drift by, or just sitting and thinking, is that wasted time? The clouds still move, the sun still sets, the clock keeps ticking. The time didn't stop or go backward. You just chose to spend that moment in a way that didn't involve being busy or productive in the usual sense. Maybe that quiet time was exactly what you needed for your mind to rest, to wonder, or just to be. So perhaps wasting time is less about time's true nature and more about how we feel about our choices or what we expected to do versus what we actually did. Time simply carries on, and what we do in its flow becomes part of our story, whether we planned it or not. What if everything we think we know about time, that it just moves forward in a straight line, is not quite right? Imagine time not like a simple road stretching out ahead of you, but like a huge ball of yarn. It's tangled and knotted in places, with threads looping back on themselves. This idea suggests that past, present, and future aren't neatly separated boxes, but more like different parts of the same interwoven fabric. For a long time, many cultures, especially ancient ones, didn't even think of time as a straight arrow. Some indigenous peoples, for instance, saw time more like cycles, like the seasons or the moon's phases, always returning and repeating. They didn't always imagine it as something that just keeps moving forward, never looking back. And even today, some very smart thinkers in science wonder if time could bend or loop, like a river that doubles back on itself before flowing on. Think about a strong memory you have. Sometimes a certain smell or piece of music can suddenly make a moment from years ago feel so incredibly real, so now that it's almost like you're right there again. Or think about how when you're really excited for something, time can feel like it rushes by in a blink. But when you're bored in class, that same amount of time can seem to crawl, almost stopping. These feelings, these strange jumps and stretches, make you wonder if time is truly as rigid as we think. If time isn't a straight line, but this beautiful, complex tangle, then maybe our moments aren't truly gone forever. Maybe every experience, every laugh, every sad moment, every single feeling exists somewhere in this grand, beautiful fabric. It's a calm, gentle thought that perhaps nothing truly vanishes, but just becomes part of a bigger, timeless picture, always connected. Have you ever noticed how cartoons show time zipping by with those wavy, squiggly lines? Maybe a character races off, or the sun and moon spin quickly to show a whole day passing. Here's the thing. Those simple lines are a brilliant way artists tell us, without words, that time isn't just ticking along steadily. It's moving fast. Think about it like this. These speed lines or motion lines are a visual shortcut. Long ago, even before cartoons, artists would draw lines to show movement. If a hunter threw a spear, you might see lines trailing behind it. This wasn't just about showing an object moving. It was about showing how fast it was moving, creating a blur for our eyes. When early comic strips and animation started, they needed a quick way to communicate speed and the passage of time. They couldn't show every tiny moment, so they found these symbols. It's like a secret language our eyes learned over generations. So, when a cartoon shows a character blurring past with squiggles, it's like when you ride your bike really fast and everything on the side of the road starts to blend together, or if you spin around quickly, the room gets blurry. Our brains understand this visual blur means speed. When these lines are used for time itself, like showing days flying by, it's the cartoon's way of saying, poof, a lot just happened, super quick. It reminds us that time isn't always a steady tick-tock. Sometimes it stretches out, long and slow, like a quiet afternoon reading. Other times, it zips past like those squiggly lines, leaving us wondering where the hours went. Cartoons simply capture this feeling we all know that time has a rhythm, a heartbeat that can speed up or slow down, depending on how we live it. It's a beautiful, simple way to show something so complex. Have you ever called someone far away and realized it's morning for them while it's still late night for you? You might wonder, how can it be the same now, everywhere, but the clock shows such different times? It feels a little like a mystery, doesn't it? Here's the thing. Now is a shared universal moment. It's always happening for us all. But Earth is constantly spinning. As it turns, different parts of its surface face the sun. When one side is in sunlight, having midday, the opposite side is in darkness, having midnight. So, time zones are a human way of making sense of this constant spinning. We divide the world into sections, and each gets a specific hour. This means everyone in that section has daylight or night at roughly the same clock time. For a long time, towns set clocks by their own local sun. This worked when travel was slow. But in the 1800s, when trains became popular, these different local times caused problems. How could train schedules work if every town had its own time? To make things easier, people agreed on a standard system. This is why Greenwich, England, became the starting point for global time, called the Prime Meridian. Think about it like this. Imagine an online game with players all over the world. everyone plays at the exact same now. But for the player in Japan, it might be dinner time, while for the player in New York, it's early morning. They share the same digital now, but their personal clocks reflect where they are on Earth. This helps us know what time it is for others even far away. It reminds us that even as we live our unique days, bathed in our own sunlight or moonlight, we are all spinning together on this planet, sharing one continuous, unfolding moment. It's a quiet reminder of how connected we are, tying us across oceans and continents. Have you ever stopped to wonder if a busy ant scurrying across the sidewalk feels time passing the same way you do? It's a strange thought, isn't it? For us, a minute is 60 seconds, a day is 24 hours. But for that tiny ant, its whole world might unfold in a completely different rhythm. Here's the thing. Time itself in the big universe moves steadily. A second is a second. But how we experience that second can feel very different. Imagine watching a video in super slow motion. A quick action, like a ball hitting a wall, suddenly stretches out. This is because the camera captures many more tiny moments. For an ant, its small body and very fast heartbeat mean its brain processes things much quicker than ours. So, what seems fast to us might feel slow and stretched out for the ant. Its world is like our world, seen through a slow motion camera. Thinkers for hundreds of years have wondered how our minds shape what feels real. Old philosophers asked if we all see the same true world, or if each of us lives in our own version. They believed our senses and thoughts could change how we experience things. So, it's not just about ants. It's about how our bodies and brains are built, shaping our personal timelines. This idea reminds us that time isn't just a number on a clock. It's also a deeply personal feeling shaped by who we are and how we're made. The ant's busy life teaches us that our own perception of time is just one of many ways to feel moments pass. It makes us appreciate how unique our sense of time truly is, and perhaps encourages us to slow down and notice the details that the ant might also be experiencing, just in its own way. Have you ever heard an older person say, "Oh, time just flies by these days"? It's a common thing, right? But what does that even mean? How can time, which moves at the same speed for everyone, feel so different to them? Here's the thing. Time itself doesn't speed up. A minute is always 60 seconds, but how we feel time, how we experience it, changes a lot as we grow older. When you're little, everything feels new. Every day is packed with firsts, learning something new in school, meeting a new friend, trying a new food. Your brain is soaking it all in, making fresh memories. And when your brain makes lots of new memories, time feels longer, more stretched out. It feels like you have more time. Thinkers throughout history have wondered about this. It's not just a modern idea. Ancient philosophers like St. Augustine even talked about how time isn't just a line stretching out, but something that lives in our minds, in our memory. For them, the past is memory, the future is expectation, and the present is just a quick moment. This idea helps us see that our perception is key. So, here's how it works with an example. Think about your summer vacation. When you were younger, those 2 months felt like forever, full of endless days. Every day was an adventure. But for an adult, summer can zip by. Why? Because many days are similar. Work, chores, routine. When life becomes more routine, our brains have fewer new things to record. We're not making as many distinct, sparkling memories. It's like a movie where every day is the same scene over and over. It feels shorter than a movie with lots of different exciting parts. So maybe when older people say time flies, it's not a complaint. It's a gentle reminder. A nudge to fill our days with new curiosities, new learnings, new moments that stand out. It's about how we choose to live each moment, making it rich and memorable. Maybe that's how we slow down time in our hearts, if not on the clock. Have you ever just stopped and wondered if tomorrow is really a thing out there, like a mountain or a star? Or if it's just a word we use to keep track of things? It's a big question, and people have been thinking about it for thousands of years. Here's the thing. When we talk about time, we usually mean two different ideas. One idea is that time is a bit like a flowing river. It exists on its own, moving forward steadily, whether we notice it or not. The universe itself is riding this river, moving from past to future. Rocks wear down, stars burn out, and we grow older. These things happen because time is passing, right? This view suggests time is a real part of how the universe works, like gravity. But then there's another idea. This one says time isn't a river out there. Instead, it's something we humans created to make sense of the world. Think about it. We invented clocks, calendars, and words like second or year. These tools help us organize events. Ancient thinkers, like a really smart Greek guy named Aristotle, thought that time was just a way to measure change. He felt like if nothing ever changed, there wouldn't be any time to talk about. It's like when you're bored in class, time seems to drag. But when you're playing your favorite game, it flies by. The actual thing that is time feels different based on how you experience it. So maybe time isn't really a separate force, but just our way of counting the changes that happen around us and inside us. So, is time a deep, unseen current carrying us all along? Or is it a clever tool we invented, like a ruler for moments? It's a beautiful mystery, isn't it? And sometimes simply wondering about it is enough. Have you ever woken up from a wild, epic dream? One where you lived an entire adventure, only to look at the clock and see just a few minutes have passed? It's a strange feeling, like your brain played a trick on you. But here's the thing, our minds don't always experience time the way a clock does. In the world of dreams, time can bend and stretch. When we sleep, especially during a phase called REM sleep, our brains are super active. They're not just resting, they're creating whole worlds. And in these created worlds, our sense of time can get really weird. It's because our brain isn't relying on outside cues, like the sun moving or people talking. Instead, it's just processing thoughts and feelings very, very quickly. It's like your brain is running a super fast movie in your head. For a long time, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient philosophers like Aristotle and later thinkers knew that dreams felt different from waking life. They might not have had our science, but they understood that time in dreams wasn't normal. They saw dreams as a space where our minds could roam free, often making up their own rules. Modern psychology tells us that during REM sleep, our brain areas for memory and emotion are very busy, which can make a short dream packed with intense experiences, making it feel much longer. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching a highlight reel of an entire sports game. It might only be 5 minutes long, but it's packed with every exciting moment, every goal, every dramatic play. Your brain in a dream can do something similar, compressing a lot of vivid experience into a very short real-world time. So, when a dream feels like hours, it's not really about the clock time. It's about how much your mind experiences and processes in that short span. It reminds us that time isn't always a steady march forward. Sometimes, it's a feeling, a deep sense of what we've lived through, even if that living happened only inside our heads. It's a beautiful mystery, how our minds can create such vast worlds in moments. Have you ever looked forward to something so much, maybe a birthday, or a trip, or the end of a long school week and wished it could just be now? That feeling, that stretch of time between not yet and here it is a deep part of being human. Why can't we just skip ahead? Why does time insist on moving forward? One breath after another, bringing the future to us only when it's ready. Here's the thing. We live in a world where time seems to flow in only one direction. It's like a river. We're always floating downstream, unable to paddle back to yesterday or jump ahead to tomorrow. The future is always up ahead, a place we haven't reached yet. And the present is this exact spot, this very moment where the future finally becomes real. It's the meeting point of what's coming and what's here. Ancient thinkers, like the wise people of old Greece, spent a lot of time wondering about this. Some, like a philosopher named Aristotle, thought of time not as an empty space, but as a way we measure change. If nothing ever changed, if a tree stayed a seed forever, if a baby never grew, would time even make sense? Maybe time exists, because things do change, do grow, do move. So, the future isn't just a different place, it's a different state of being, brought to us by the unfolding of moment. Think about a puzzle. You can't just put the last piece in first. You have to build it piece by piece, seeing how each part connects to what came before. The picture of the puzzle's end is the future, but it only shows up fully as you work through each present moment of placing a piece. And that's why it matters. The waiting, the unfolding, it lets us experience the journey. It lets us learn, grow, and appreciate each step. Maybe the future isn't just something that arrives, but something we build, one present moment at a time. And that slow unfolding is the quiet, beautiful rhythm of life itself. Have you ever looked up at the stars and wondered if time itself behaves differently out there, far beyond our sky? It's a thought that wraps around your mind, a gentle question about the very fabric of our existence. Here's the thing, it sounds like something from a science fiction movie, but in a strange and beautiful way, moving really fast does change how time passes for you. This idea is called time dilation, and it's not about magic or make-believe. It's a truth found in the quiet hum of the universe. Imagine time as a river. For most of us, standing on the bank, the river flows by at the same speed. But if you were suddenly able to get into a super fast boat and zoom down that river, something incredibly subtle happens. Your personal river of time would flow just a tiny bit slower than for someone standing still on the bank. So, if you traveled really fast, like an astronaut rocketing through space, your clock would tick a little slower than a clock back on Earth. This isn't just a wild guess. A brilliant thinker named Albert Einstein showed us this more than 100 years ago with his theories of relativity. He helped us see that time isn't like a giant, unmoving metronome ticking equally for everyone, everywhere. Instead, time is woven together with space, and how fast you're moving through space affects how quickly you move through time. It's a bit like a student running around the track during recess versus a student sitting still in the classroom. When the running student stops, their experience of time, though only by a tiny fraction, has been different. The world outside their fast-moving bubble has aged slightly more than they have. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Our everyday moments feel so solid, so fixed in time. But knowing that time can stretch and shrink, even just a little, depending on how fast we move, adds a deeper layer to our understanding of the world. It's a quiet reminder that the universe holds mysteries, even in something as familiar as a ticking clock, and that every second is a journey, always unfolding. Have you ever looked at the clock, then at your to-do list, and felt a tiny wave of panic? Maybe you wanted more time for a school project, or an extra hour to play a game, or just more moments with someone you love. It's a feeling almost everyone shares, wishing for more time. But why? This wish comes from understanding that time is limited. Unlike money you can earn or things you can buy again, time, once gone, is gone forever. It flows like a river, always moving forward, never turning back. We feel this lack because our lives are full of dreams, tasks, and relationships that all need our time. We want more time for all the things we wish to experience, create, or learn. Throughout history, wise thinkers have wrestled with this very idea. Centuries ago, a Roman philosopher named Seneca wrote about how valuable time is. He thought many people waste their time on unimportant things, or they don't even notice how quickly it passes. He thought we often act like time is endless, when it's truly the most precious gift we have. It's not a new feeling, this worry about time. From ancient poems to modern songs, people have always tried to understand why time flies, especially when we're having fun or desperately need more of it. Think about a time you had a big test or a play to prepare for. You probably wished you had an extra day or even just a few more hours to study or practice. That feeling comes from knowing there's a gap between what you want to achieve and the moment you have. It's not just about more seconds ticking by. It's really a wish for more chances, more opportunities, more moments to grow, to connect, or to simply be. So, when we wish for more time, maybe we're not just wishing for extra minutes. Perhaps we're wishing for a deeper sense of control, or a chance to live more fully in the moments we are given. It's a gentle reminder to notice the beauty in each passing moment, and to use the time we have wisely, creating memories and experiences that truly matter. It's a quiet reflection on what we value most. Have you ever closed your eyes and tried to imagine nothing at all? Not just an empty room, but truly nothing. No light, no sound, no space, not even air. It's hard, right? Now try to imagine a time before time. What was that like? It's one of the biggest questions humans have ever asked, and it makes your mind twist in knots. Here's the thing. For us, time feels like a river always flowing forward. We measure it with clocks and calendars, watching moments pass. But scientists and thinkers believe that time itself had a beginning. They often talk about the Big Bang, which is when the universe, and probably time, began. So, if time started with the Big Bang, what was there before that bang? Was it just nothing? Or was it something we can't even dream of, because our brains only know about things that exist in time? Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, wondered if there was an eternal, unchanging something from which everything came. And many creation stories from different cultures describe a state before anything existed, a sort of formless void, before a god or a force brought order and beginnings into being. It's like when you're about to start a brand new video game. Before you press start, before the characters appear or the music begins, there's just the console, waiting. It's on, but the game world hasn't begun yet. That blank screen before the game starts maybe is a bit like what was before time. This question teaches us something deep. Some mysteries are so vast, they stretch beyond what we can fully grasp with our everyday minds. And that's okay. It reminds us that the universe is full of wonders, and just thinking about these big questions can make our world feel much bigger and more amazing. It's a space where curiosity can truly wander free. Have you ever stopped to wonder if time itself could just stop? Imagine if 1 second everything was moving, and the next, it all just froze. Not just the clocks on the wall, but everything. The birds in mid-flight, the waves crashing on the shore, even your own thoughts. It's a huge idea, almost impossible to truly picture. But it makes you think, doesn't it? When we talk about time stopping, we're not just thinking about a broken watch. We're talking about the end of all change. Every event, every movement, every shift would cease. Philosophers and thinkers for thousands of years have grappled with this very question. Ancient Greek thinkers wondered if time was an endless river, always flowing, or if it had a beginning and an end, like a story. They didn't have scientific instruments, but they had their minds, and they asked the same big questions we do today. Some believe time was a part of the universe, and if the universe changed, time changed too. Others saw it as something separate, always there, whether anything else was or not. Here's the thing. For time to truly stop, it would mean the universe itself would have to stop evolving, stop moving. Think about a movie you're watching. If you hit the pause button, everything on screen freezes. The characters stop talking, the action halts, but the movie itself is still there, ready to play again. For time to stop in our reality, it would be like the entire movie of the universe just stopping forever. No more frames passing, no more story unfolding. But the way we understand our universe right now, everything is always in motion, always changing, even if it's super slow. Galaxies drift, stars burn out, new ones form. So for time to truly stop, all of that energy, all that movement would have to simply vanish. It's a thought that wraps your mind in a gentle puzzle. We don't have an answer, and maybe we never will. But it's beautiful to ponder such a deep mystery, to let your thoughts wander to the very edges of what we understand about existence itself. Have you ever wondered why the best days, the happiest times, seem to rush by in an instant? Like a burst of sunshine that fades too quickly, leaving us wishing for more. This feeling that joy makes time speed up is one of the most common and puzzling things about how we experience the world. It's not just a trick. There's something real happening in our minds. Here's the thing. When we are truly happy, our brains are fully engaged with what's happening right now. We are focused on the laughter, the fun, the feeling of connection. Our attention isn't on the clock or on waiting for something else. We're completely lost in the moment because we're not consciously counting the seconds or minutes. Time feels like it's flying. It's the opposite when we're bored or sad. Then every single second can feel like an eternity. Our minds look for things to focus on, and if there's nothing interesting, we start to notice time itself passing very slowly. Philosophers, even ancient ones, have thought about this. St. Augustine, a thinker from a very long time ago, believed that time wasn't just a fixed line out in the world, but something we experience inside ourselves. He said that time is a distension of the mind, meaning it stretches and shrinks depending on our inner state and how we pay attention. So, it's not the clock that changes, but our minds processing the moments differently. Think about a summer vacation you loved. Maybe it was a trip to the beach, or spending weeks playing outside with friends. Those days probably felt incredibly short, like they were over before you knew it. But if you remember a long, quiet afternoon when you had nothing to do and just felt bored, that afternoon might have seemed to drag on forever. This isn't magic. It's how our brains process our engagement with the world. So maybe the fact that happy moments feel brief isn't a bad thing. Perhaps it's a beautiful sign that we were fully present, truly living and feeling those moments. It tells us that when we are completely absorbed in joy, time simply fades into the background, leaving us with a pure, rich memory. It encourages us to find more of those moments where time seems to vanish. Have you ever sat in a classroom watching the second-hand crawl, convinced that time has stopped just for you? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? That a single hour can feel longer than a whole day, all because the subject isn't grabbing your attention. But then, when you're deeply engrossed in a video game or laughing with friends, hours vanish like smoke. Why does time play such tricks on us? Here's the thing. Time isn't just about the clock on the wall. It's also deeply personal, living inside our minds. When we're bored, our minds wake up in a different way. They start looking for something, anything, to fill the quiet. Every small sound, every detail of the room, even the quiet ticking of a clock, becomes super noticeable. And that makes each moment feel stretched out, endlessly long. But when we're truly engaged, our minds are busy. We aren't checking the clock, we're just doing. Thinkers for thousands of years have puzzled over this. Even ancient thinkers like St. Augustine wondered about this. He famously said he knew what time was until someone asked him to explain it. He understood that our minds have a huge role in how we experience time. It's like time isn't just a river flowing past us, but a river we can sometimes swim in slowly, and sometimes rush down like rapids, depending on our state of mind. It's a part of our psychology, how our brain processes information based on how we feel. So, when that history lecture feels like it will never end, know that it's not just the clock being slow, it's your mind, trying to make sense of a quiet, unstimulating space, and in doing so, it stretches out every second. But when you're building something amazing or lost in a good story, time speeds up because your mind is fully alive. And that's a pretty cool thought, isn't it? How our inner world can literally change something as constant as time. Imagine for a moment, what if every single breath you take, every blink of your eye, every tiny choice you make, isn't just happening in one reality? What if, in that exact same second, there are countless other versions of you, living out all the other possibilities? It's a wild thought, but it's a concept that has truly fascinated people for ages. This idea is often called the many worlds concept, though we'll just call it the idea of endless possibilities. It suggests that with every choice made, or even with every random event, the universe branches. So, if you pick up a blue pen, there's a universe where you picked a red one instead, and another where you didn't pick up any pen at all. It's like the universe is constantly splitting into new versions of itself based on every tiny thing that could happen. This isn't just something from science fiction movies. Some very smart people, even ancient Greek thinkers like Heraclitus, wondered about constant change and how everything is always becoming something new. Later, some scientists, especially those studying super tiny things like atoms, started seeing patterns that made them wonder if all possible outcomes of an event actually happen, just in different worlds or realities. It's a deep mystery. Think about something simple, deciding what to eat for breakfast. In this reality, you might choose cereal. But what if, in that very same moment, there's another reality where you chose toast, and another where you just slept in and skipped breakfast entirely? Every single second, filled with tiny decisions and happenings, could be a doorway to a whole new chain of events, a whole new universe for that particular choice. It makes you think about how vast and amazing each moment really is, doesn't it? Every second isn't just a brief tick of the clock. It's packed with potential, with paths taken and paths not taken. This specific second, the one you are living right now, is precious. Because even if there are endless other paths, this one is yours, here and now. And that's a powerful and truly unique thing. Have you ever had one of those days that feels just right? Maybe the sun was shining, you laughed a lot with your friends, or you learned something amazing. And in that moment, didn't you wish you could just hit a button, a magical pause button, and freeze it forever? Hold on to that feeling, that sunshine, that perfect moment. Here's the thing, we can't. Time only moves one way, forward. It's like a river that never stops flowing. You can step into the water, feel it rush past you, but you can't hold onto a single drop or make the river stand still. This idea of time always moving has puzzled people for thousands of years. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a philosopher named Heraclitus, talked about how you can never step into the same river twice, because both you and the river are always changing. That's time in a nutshell. It's always new, always arriving, always passing. So why is it like that? Why can't we just stop it? Well, time isn't just something we measure with clocks. It's a fundamental part of how our universe works. It's the constant, steady beat behind everything. Think about it. A seed needs time to grow into a plant. Music needs time to unfold its melody, and you need time to learn and grow. If time could just stop, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would change or develop. Maybe the true beauty of a perfect day is exactly because it doesn't last forever. The fact that those moments are fleeting makes them so precious, right? It makes us truly pay attention, to feel them deeply, and to remember them clearly. It's not about stopping time, but about being fully present in it. And that's why it matters, because every perfect day, every happy memory is a unique gift that we get to experience fully, even if it passes. We hold on to the feeling, not the clock. Have you ever just stopped, completely still, perhaps in a quiet room or outdoors looking at the vast sky? In that moment, even though you aren't moving, do you feel like time itself pauses with you? Or does it keep flowing, like a silent river around a stone? Here's the thing. Even when we stand perfectly still, our watches keep ticking, and the sun keeps moving across the sky. This makes us feel like time is something separate from us, a constant background beat, always marching forward no matter what we do. It's like we're on a train, and whether we walk around the car or sit still, the train itself keeps moving down the tracks. Time feels that way, always going, always progressing. For a long time, many thinkers, like a famous scientist named Isaac Newton, imagined time as a giant invisible clock ticking everywhere, all at once, always at the same speed for everyone. This was called absolute time. It was like a huge, unchanging river flowing through the universe, and we were all just little boats on it, being carried along whether we rowed or not. But then, much later, another brilliant scientist named Albert Einstein had a different idea. He suggested that time isn't so fixed. He showed that time can actually seem to speed up or slow down for different people, depending on how fast they are moving. But even with Einstein's ideas, the general feeling is that time doesn't stop just because you do. It still unfolds. Think about watching a movie. You're sitting still on the couch, not moving an inch. But the story on the screen keeps playing out, minute by minute, scene by scene. The characters live their lives, events unfold, and the plot moves forward. You being still doesn't stop the movie. In the same way, the grand story of the universe, the continuous unfolding of moments, doesn't pause because one person stops. So, when you stand still, time still moves. It wraps around you, whispers through the air, and carries the world forward. It reminds us that we are part of something much bigger than just our own small moments. There's a gentle comfort in knowing that even in stillness, the journey continues, weaving us into the vast, unending tapestry of existence. It's a quiet, beautiful dance between our personal pause and the universe's endless motion. Have you ever thought about how we always talk about later? We say, I'll do my homework later, or we'll meet up later. It's a common word we use every day. But what if later isn't actually real? What if it's just an idea in our minds? This idea means that the only moment that truly exists is right now. The past is gone, a memory, and the future hasn't arrived yet. So, if later is part of the future that hasn't come, then maybe later isn't real at all. It's more like a concept or a hope, not a moment you can live in. Ancient thinkers like some Buddhist philosophers have talked about this for thousands of years. They believe in present moment awareness, which means focusing completely on what's happening right now. For them, true reality is always and only the present. They saw the past as memory and the future as imagination. Even some modern scientists, looking at physics, wonder if time flows or if every moment is just there, and our brains experience it one bit at a time. Think about watching a movie. You see scenes unfold, but the entire movie, every moment, already exists on the film or digital file. You just experience it frame by frame. Maybe our lives are a bit like that. Every later is already part of the whole film, but we only get to experience the current frame. If later isn't real, what does that mean for us? It might mean every now is incredibly important. It reminds us to truly be here, in this breath, this conversation, this moment. It's a gentle nudge to appreciate what's happening right now, instead of always waiting for something that might not come. It makes each now feel precious and full. Have you ever closed your eyes and suddenly found yourself back in a specific moment? Perhaps the exact feeling of sunlight on your face during a forgotten summer, or the scent of a certain flower that brings back a grandparent's garden? It's almost as if time hasn't touched that memory at all. Why do some moments stay so bright, so clear, even as years stretch out behind us? Here's the thing. Memories aren't just like dusty old books on a shelf in our minds. They are deeply connected to our emotions. When something truly powerful happens, whether it's a moment of great joy, a feeling of deep sadness, or even a sudden surprise, our brains pay extra attention. It's like a built-in highlighter for our experiences. The stronger the feeling, the more intensely the memory gets stamped into our minds. Philosophers long ago, even ancient Greek thinkers like Plato, thought about how memory worked. They imagined it sometimes like pressing a seal into soft wax. The harder you press, the clearer and longer lasting the impression. For us, that pressure is often our feelings. When your favorite song from years ago comes on, and suddenly you're not just hearing the music, but feeling the exact mood you were in when you first heard it, that's your emotions bringing the memory back to life. Your brain, especially parts like the amygdala, which handles emotions, and the hippocampus, which forms new memories, work together to glue that feeling to the event. So a vivid memory isn't just a record of what happened. It's a living echo of how we felt then. These echoes remind us that time doesn't simply erase things. Instead, it allows certain moments, those rich with feeling, to shimmer through the years, shaping who we are and connecting us always to our past selves. It shows us how deeply our feelings can color the story of our lives. Have you ever shouted across a big, empty space, like a canyon or a huge gymnasium, and then a moment later, you hear your own voice bounce back to you? That's an echo. It's a simple thing, really just sound waves hitting something hard and coming back. But here's what's cool. An echo doesn't just repeat a sound. It seems to stretch out the very moment the sound was made. It makes you feel like time itself has paused or slowed down for that specific noise. Think about it this way. You make a sound like a loud hello, and then a second or two later, you hear hello again. Your brain remembers the first sound. It knows the second sound is connected to the first. So instead of thinking of them as two separate moments, your mind links them. It's like that single hello is being held onto, made longer by its return. The sound isn't gone. It's still present, even after it should have faded away. People have thought about echoes for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks, for example, had a myth about a nymph named Echo. She was cursed and could only repeat the last words spoken to her. This old story shows how echoes have always made us wonder about sound and time. For them, an echo was a kind of lingering presence, a voice that wouldn't quite let go. It wasn't just a sound, it was a memory of a sound, replaying itself. So, when an echo hangs in the air, it teaches us something about how we feel time. It's not just a clock ticking, second by second. Our minds can make a single event, like a sound, feel extended and prolonged. The echo makes us stop and listen to the same moment twice. It's a reminder that time can feel different depending on what our senses are telling us. A simple sound bouncing back can turn one small moment into a small, stretched out eternity. It just stays with us a little longer. Have you ever really thought about why we need clocks? Before we had screens and ticking hands, how did people know when to wake up or when to meet? It's a curious thought. Time itself isn't something you can touch or see. It's more like a deep, unseen river, always flowing. Humans, though, like to make sense of things, to organize our lives. So, clocks were created to measure that endless flow. Early humans relied on natural rhythms. The sun rising, the moon changing, the seasons shifting. These were their clocks. They used sundials, simple shadows telling time. Later came water clocks, where water slowly dripped, and sand clocks, like those in board games. These tools weren't about exact seconds. They were about marking big pieces of time helping people know when to plant or hunt. But as communities grew, people needed more precision. Farmers needed to plant at the right moment. Traders needed to know when markets opened. If you wanted to meet a friend, you couldn't just guess the middle of the day. Imagine trying to start school or a team practice if no one knew what time it was. Clocks became crucial. They gave us a shared language for time, a way for everyone to work and live together without chaos. And that's the quiet beauty of it. Clocks aren't time itself, but they help us navigate its vastness. They let us connect, share moments, and build a rhythm together. They are tools that bring order and help us be present with each other. It's a calm reminder of how we create meaning and structure, even around something as powerful and constant as time. Have you ever paused and truly wondered, where does a moment go once it's passed? Like a whisper on the wind, yesterday is gone. We feel it slip away, but where exactly does it go? It's not like a person walking out of a room, right? Here's the thing. We talk about time passing or flowing like a river, but it's not really a physical object that packs up and leaves for some distant place. It's more like the way things change, or how events unfold. Think of it this way. When a tree grows, its old leaves don't go somewhere specific. They just aren't there anymore in their original form. The tree itself has changed. Time is kind of similar. It's the constant unfolding of everything around us and within us. Ancient thinkers thousands of years ago puzzled over the same idea. A Greek philosopher named Heraclitus once famously said, "You can't step into the same river twice." He meant that everything is always changing. The river is never the same because new water is constantly flowing through it. And you, the person stepping in, are also always changing, even if just a tiny bit. This idea makes us think that time isn't a separate thing moving through the world. Instead, it is the world's movement and change itself. Every second, the now becomes the then, not because it flies away, but because the very next now arrives. Consider your favorite song. When you play it, the notes don't go anywhere when they're finished. They just stop being the present sound, making way for the next note. The song exists as a whole, but you only hear it one moment at a time. The past part of the song isn't hiding in a different room. It's just no longer happening. It has transformed from a present sound into a memory. So maybe time doesn't really go anywhere at all. Maybe it's not a path we walk on, but the walking itself. Each moment doesn't disappear into a hidden place. It transforms, becoming part of what was. It leaves its mark on what is, and quietly shapes what will be. It's a continuous becoming, an endless, gentle shift that carries us forward. Do you ever feel like you're running, always trying to catch up with something invisible? Like there's a clock ticking, and you're just a little bit behind? It's a common feeling, this sense that time is always ahead of us. But here's a thought. What if catching up isn't even possible? What if time isn't a race to win? See, time isn't a train we can jump on or off, or a finish line we can cross. It's more like a river that flows, endlessly and without pause. We are always in the river, carried along by its current. We can't speed it up or slow it down, no matter how much we wish we could. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from long ago often talked about time this way. They knew that time doesn't really care about our plans or our deadlines, it just moves. Some even wondered if time was truly real in the way a tree or a rock is real, or if it was more a way our minds make sense of changes happening around us. Think about a school day. When you're sitting in a really boring class, time can feel like it's crawling. But then, when you're hanging out with friends, laughing and having fun, hours can vanish in what feels like minutes. You aren't actually speeding up or slowing down time itself. Your experience of time changes. You're not catching up to the bell or falling behind it. The bell rings when time has simply moved forward. So, maybe the idea of catching up with time is a misunderstanding. We can't control its flow, but what we can do is choose how we ride the current. We can choose to be present in each moment, to notice the small things, and to truly live the seconds, minutes, and hours as they pass. Time won't wait for us, but it doesn't leave us behind either. It just is, and we are in it together. You know that feeling, right? When you're waiting for something amazing, like your birthday or the last bell on a Friday afternoon, it feels like the clock just stops. Every minute stretches out, long and slow. But then, When you're completely lost in something fun, playing a favorite game or chatting with friends, time just disappears, hours flying by. So, why does waiting for something always take so long? Here's the thing. Time isn't just about the numbers on the clock. It's also how our minds feel and measure it. When we're waiting, our brains often fixate on the future, on what's coming next. This makes the present, the now, feel incredibly long. Our attention isn't on the present, but on the absence of what we want. Think about it this way. Imagine you're stuck in a waiting room, empty-handed. Every second seems to tick loudly. You notice everything about the quiet, just being there. But if you had a really good book to read or an interesting puzzle to solve, you might not even notice an hour go by. Your mind would be busy, engaged in the present moment, and time would simply flow. For ages, wise thinkers, even in ancient Greece, pondered this mystery. They saw time wasn't a steady river. Sometimes it rushed like a waterfall. Other times it crept like a lazy stream. They understood that our feelings, our hopes, and where we place our attention deeply change how we experience each passing moment. Our inner state shapes time itself. Our minds have a dial for time. When we're longing for something or bored, that dial slows down. Our minds become super aware of every ticking second, eager for that future moment to arrive. So, when time seems to crawl, maybe it's not time itself being slow. Maybe it's just our minds, full of eager longing, trying to rush through the present. And that's why waiting can be a quiet teacher, showing us patience and how to appreciate the moments we're in, even the quiet ones. Have you ever noticed how some moments fly by while others seem to drag on forever? A fun afternoon with friends can feel like minutes, but a long, boring lecture might stretch into an eternity. It makes you wonder, right? What if time isn't really a steady river flowing past us, but more like a feeling or even a story our brain tells itself? This idea isn't new. For centuries, thinkers have questioned what time actually is. An old philosopher named St. Augustine, way back in the day, wondered about this deeply. He said something like, "If no one asks me, I know what time is. But if someone asks me to explain it, then I don't know." He meant that time feels so real, yet it's incredibly hard to pin down. It suggests that maybe time isn't just a physical thing out there, but something our minds create to make sense of change. Think about it this way. Our brains are always working to organize the world around us. They connect memories, plan for the future, and notice when things happen one after another. So, time could be the way our brains put all those changes in order. It's like a filing system for experiences. When you're remembering a vacation, you don't just recall one moment. You might jump from a funny dinner to a beach sunset, not necessarily in perfect order. Your brain pieces it together, and time helps create that flow. So, here's the thing. If time is partly a way our minds sort things out, then our perception of it can change. It means our feelings and what we're focused on can actually speed up or slow down our experience of time. It reminds us that our own inner world plays a huge part in how we experience reality. Maybe understanding time isn't just about clocks, but about understanding ourselves and how our minds craft the moments we live. Have you ever looked in a mirror and seen a new wrinkle? Or maybe noticed an older photo of yourself and wondered, is time actually doing something to me? It's a curious thought, isn't it? We often say time takes its toll or time changes everything. But does time itself have hands that can reach out and touch our skin, making us older? Here's the thing. When we talk about aging, we're not really saying time is an active force. Instead, it's about the many tiny changes happening inside our bodies, day by day, year after year. Think about a tree growing taller. Is time making it grow? Not exactly. The tree is taking in sunlight and water, and its cells are dividing and building. Time is just the background, the stage on which this amazing growth plays out. Philosophers have wondered about this for a very long time, stretching back to ancient Greece. Thinkers like Aristotle didn't see time as a separate force that did things. They saw it more as a way we measure change how things move from one state to another. So, aging isn't time actively pulling at your skin or changing your hair color. It's your own cells, your own biological processes, simply unfolding and transforming as the moments pass. These processes happen within you over the span we call time. Imagine a beautiful old wooden fence. It might look weathered and gray. Did time make it that way? Not alone. The sun beat down on it, the rain soaked it, and tiny bits of wood slowly broke down. Time just measured how long these natural processes took. Our bodies are much the same. We are always reacting, repairing, growing, adapting. These are active processes happening throughout our lives. So when we notice changes in ourselves as we get older, it's not time actively working on us as if it's a sculptor. It's us, our very being, continuously transforming and unfolding within time's steady current. It's a natural, quiet journey. Every moment brings a gentle shift, a new story written on the canvas of who we are. We are the changing, happening within the endless flow. Have you ever stopped to think about how you picture time? For many of us, time feels like a straight path, moving forward from yesterday, through today, into tomorrow. We see our lives as a line from birth to old age. But what if time wasn't like a line at all? What if it was more like a circle? Some cultures, especially ancient ones and many indigenous peoples, saw time as a cycle, not a straight arrow. For them, time wasn't just about moving forward. It was about returning. They noticed how the seasons always come back. Spring, summer, fall, winter, then spring again. The sun rises and sets, and then rises again the next morning. The moon grows full, shrinks, and then grows full once more. These weren't just repeated events. They were the very rhythm of life. Think about the ancient Egyptians. Their whole world depended on the Nile River flooding every year. This flood brought new life to their farms. So, for them, time wasn't about a constant push into the unknown future. It was about a dependable return, a cycle of death and rebirth that happened yearly. Many Native American tribes also see time in cycles, deeply connected to the Earth's natural rhythms and the endless journey of the spirits. They often think about how events in the past will come around again, not exactly the same, but with similar lessons. It's like how you go through a school year. You start in September, learn new things, finish in June, and then a new school year begins in September. It's not just a single, never-ending line of learning. It's a cycle that repeats, bringing new lessons and new beginnings each time. This way of seeing time can feel very comforting. It suggests that nothing truly ends. It just transforms and returns in a new way. It makes us feel more connected to the rhythms of the world around us and less like we're just rushing towards some distant end. It reminds us that every ending is also a new start, gently turning us back to where we began, but with new wisdom. Have you ever thought about how something that's completely gone can still be so powerful? The past, by definition, is over. It's done. We can't go back to yesterday, not even for a second. But then, why does it feel like everything that happened before is still right here with us, shaping our world? It's a bit like this. Imagine a wave crashing on the sand. The water pulls back, the wave itself is gone, but it leaves behind patterns, ridges, and changes to the shore. The moment of the wave is over, but its effect remains. The past works the same way. It's not that the moments themselves are still present, but the results of those moments are. Every choice, every event, every discovery from long ago, it all created a path to right now. Think of it as a river. The water that flowed through the river yesterday is gone, but that water over countless years carved the riverbed. That riverbed then guides the water today and tomorrow. So the past isn't physically here, but its shape, its design, its influence, that's everywhere. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Heraclitus, understood that everything changes, always. He said you can never step into the same river twice because the water is always new. But even he knew the river still holds its form, shaped by all the water that came before it. Later, thinkers like Isaac Newton showed us how one action leads to another. Every cause has an effect. This isn't just about physics, it's about life too. What happened yesterday makes today possible. Think about riding a bike. You probably learned years ago. Those first wobbly moments, the scraped knees, the hours of practice, that's all in the past. You don't feel the scrapes now, but the skill you gained, the balance you learned, that's still with you, letting you ride effortlessly today. Or look around your classroom. The desks, the books, the lessons, they exist because people in the past designed schools, wrote books, and developed knowledge. Their efforts are gone, but their creations are your reality. So the past isn't a heavy chain pulling us back. It's more like the ground beneath our feet, It's the foundation of everything. Understanding this helps us see how we're all connected to what came before us. It also reminds us that our own actions today will become someone else's past tomorrow, leaving powerful echoes. Have you ever stopped to think why we try to pin down something as endless and flowing as time with neat numbers and straight lines? We talk about 5 minutes or next Tuesday, and we draw timelines in history class. But why? Time itself doesn't come with tick marks. Here's the thing. Time, by itself, is like a river without banks. It just goes. For early humans, time was mostly about cycles, the sun rising and setting, the moon waxing and waning, the seasons changing. They didn't need exact seconds, but they knew when to plant or when to hunt based on these big natural rhythms. As people started living in bigger groups and building more complex things, they needed a way to coordinate. Imagine trying to build a huge pyramid if everyone just worked whenever they felt like it, or trying to meet up with someone in a big city without agreeing on a specific hour. So, humans started inventing tools to measure these cycles more precisely. They used sundials, which showed shadows moving with the sun, and water clocks, where water dripped at a steady rate. This wasn't just about telling time. It was about creating a shared way to understand and organize our lives together. It made it possible for us to build societies, to plan, to remember. Think about a school day. We have bells that tell us when to go to class, when lunch is, and when the day ends. Without those numbers and lines, without a schedule, it would be chaos. You wouldn't know when to show up or where to be. The numbers and lines give a structure to our shared experience. So, when we measure time with numbers and lines, we're not just counting. We're creating a common language. It's our way of trying to make sense of something so vast and abstract. We give it boundaries so we can live within it, share moments, and build a history together, step by measurable step. Have you ever looked around, maybe while walking home or sitting in class, and wondered why we don't see visitors from, say, the year 3000? If someone could really build a machine to jump through time, wouldn't we have noticed them by now? Maybe a person in strange clothes, or someone just appearing out of thin air in a crowd. This is one of the biggest, quietest questions we have when we think deeply about time itself. It's a thought that wraps around your mind like a soft fog. The idea here is pretty simple, but it holds a big puzzle. If time travel into the past were possible, then people from our future, maybe even our own great-great-grandchildren, could come back to our present. But we don't see them. This missing presence is a mystery that has made many thinkers, from old philosophers in ancient Greece to modern scientists in labs today, scratch their heads. It's like setting up a party and inviting everyone from every time. But the guests from tomorrow never show up to tell us what happens next. Some people suggest that maybe time travel just isn't possible at all. The laws of the universe might simply prevent it, like how you can't walk through a solid wall no matter how hard you try. Time might be a one-way street, always moving forward. Others wonder if perhaps time travel is real, but it works in ways we can't even imagine right now. What if going back in time creates a whole new timeline, like when you choose a different path home? You wouldn't meet your past self on the original path because you're now on a new one. This idea means future visitors wouldn't be arriving in our specific past, but a slightly different version of it. Or maybe time travelers are just incredibly good at hiding. Think about it. If you traveled to the past, you wouldn't want to mess things up, would you? You'd probably try to blend in, to not change history or reveal too much. So, they might be here, walking among us, quietly observing, like a secret, silent audience in a play they already know the ending to. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That the future might be here, unnoticed, a whisper in the wind. And maybe, in their wisdom, they choose not to disturb the delicate, unfolding dance of now, leaving our present moment to breathe and become what it's meant to be. Have you ever stopped to think about time, not as a straight road stretching forward, but maybe as something recorded, like a memory playing out, or a story already written by someone else, somewhere else? Here's a curious idea. What if our now, this very moment we are living, is actually a long ago time for some other, perhaps much more advanced, being or civilization? It's like we're part of a giant cosmic echo. This isn't just a wild guess. It's a thought that makes you tilt your head and wonder. Philosophers and thinkers across history have messed with ideas like this. Back in ancient Greece, for example, a philosopher named Plato talked about how our world might just be shadows on a cave wall, not the real thing. He meant that what we see might not be the full truth, hinting that there could be a deeper reality beyond our grasp. More recently, scientists like Albert Einstein showed us that time isn't the same for everyone. It can actually bend and stretch depending on how fast you're moving. This opens up a lot of room for thinking about time in super weird and cool ways, like maybe it's layered or looping. Think about how you see a distant star. The light from that star left it thousands or even millions of years ago, right? So, when you look up tonight and see that twinkle, you're not seeing the star as it is right now. You're seeing its past. You are, in a way, living in that star's long gone then. Our whole universe could be like that, but on an even bigger scale. Our current present might be the past for some unimaginable future observer, like a very slow-motion home video they are watching from their own far-off present. It's a big thought for sure. But here's the thing, even if we are living in someone else's past, does it make our feelings less real? Does it make the laughter we share or the choices we make matter any less? Not really. It just makes us appreciate the amazing mystery of it all. It reminds us that our now is precious no matter what bigger story it's a part of. And maybe, just maybe, our own actions are still creating our unique future, even inside this grand, unfolding past. Imagine for a moment floating above a world far away, say Jupiter, with its swirling storms and immense size. Would a minute there still feel like 60 seconds? Or would the very rhythm of time shift just because you're somewhere else? It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? Our whole understanding of time is so rooted in our earthbound lives. Here's the thing. Time isn't just a steady, unchanging river that flows at the same speed everywhere in the universe. It's more like a part of the universe itself, stretchy and bendy. This idea comes from a truly brilliant thinker, Albert Einstein. He taught us that gravity, that invisible pull that keeps our feet on the ground, also gently tugs on time. The stronger the gravity, the slower time actually moves. This is called gravitational time dilation. So, yes, a clock on a massive planet like Jupiter, with its incredible gravity, would tick ever so slightly slower than a clock here on Earth. It's not something you'd feel dramatically, like suddenly moving in slow motion. But if you had super precise clocks and could spend ages on Jupiter, then return, your clock would be behind the one that stayed on Earth. Think of it like this. If you walk through thick mud, your steps are slower than if you walk on a clear path. Gravity is like that mud for time itself, making it just a tiny bit harder, a tiny bit slower to move forward. This quiet fact reminds us how unique our experience of time is right here, right now, on our own planet. Every second we live, every memory we make is happening within a moment that is perfectly ours, influenced by the very ground beneath our feet. It makes you wonder about all the different speeds of time unfolding across the cosmos, each moment precious in its own subtle way. Have you ever felt something so strongly, so deeply, that it seemed to ignore the clock, like a memory of pure joy, or the ache of missing someone that just lives inside you, unchanging? It's like these feelings don't age, no matter how many years go by. They don't fade or get weaker with time. So, what makes some feelings feel like they exist outside of time's flow? Here's the thing. We usually think of time as a line, always moving forward, one second after another. But then there are these feelings. They don't seem to pass away or get old. They just are. They feel timeless because they connect us to something bigger than the moment. They're not stuck in a specific second. They can resurface years later with the same power. It's like they have their own special kind of energy that time can't touch. Thinkers for thousands of years have wondered about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, talked about forms, perfect, unchanging ideas that exist beyond our changing world. Maybe some feelings are like that. Not physical things that can decay, but pure experiences of the human spirit. Many cultures also talk about a soul or an essence that isn't bound by time. These timeless feelings might be echoes of that deeper part of us, the part that connects us all across generations. Consider the feeling of love for a family member. Your love for a parent or a sibling isn't something that started on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. and will end next year. It just is. Or imagine looking at an old photograph of your grandparents when they were young. You might feel a connection, a warmth, a sense of shared humanity that feels as real now as it did then, even if they're gone. It's like a powerful song you heard years ago. When you hear it again, the same emotions rush back, as if no time has passed at all. So maybe some feelings feel timeless because they tap into what makes us truly human, what connects us beyond the tick-tock of a clock. They remind us that even though our days are counted, some parts of our inner world, our deepest experiences, can feel eternal. It's a quiet wonder, really, how something so personal can also feel so unchanging. Have you ever looked back at a whole year, like the one that just passed, and wondered where it all went? It can feel like just yesterday you were starting something new, and now it's already over. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? How can so many days, so many sunrises and sunsets seem to disappear so fast in our memories? Here's the thing, our brains don't experience time like a clock ticking evenly. Instead, our minds seem to measure time by the richness of our memories and the newness of our experiences. When we are young, everything is fresh and exciting. Every day holds a new discovery, a new friend, a new skill, a new place. Because there are so many new memories being made, our brains record a lot of data, making those early years feel long and full when we look back. We remember so much detail, but as we get older, our lives often fall into routines. We might go to the same school, walk the same paths, and do many of the same things each day. When life becomes more predictable, our brains don't create as many unique standout memories. It's like when you're on a long road trip. The new scenery makes the first hour feel long, but once you're on a familiar highway, the hours seem to fly by. That's because there are fewer new things for your brain to focus on and store. Some thinkers have suggested that time is less about how many seconds pass and more about how much change and newness we perceive. So, a year might feel like a blink because our minds just didn't register as many unique moments to mark its passing. It's not that time itself sped up. It's more about how our minds filed away the memories. It reminds us that maybe the secret to making time feel richer, to making a year feel less like a blink, is to fill it with more attention, more new experiences, and more moments that truly stand out in our minds. Have you ever noticed how a big event, like a summer trip or a holiday, feels like it's ages away, even if it's only a few months? And then, suddenly, it's here, and just as quickly, it's gone. What makes tomorrow always feel like a distant whisper, even when it's just around the corner? Here's the thing. Our minds have a funny way of dealing with time. The present moment, right now, feels real and immediate. But the future, even just the next hour, seems to live in a different place, like a horizon that keeps moving away as we walk towards it. Our brains are mostly wired to focus on the now, what's right in front of us. This helped our ancestors survive. People throughout history have felt this pull. The now is where we are. The later always a step ahead. Think about waiting for something you really want, like tickets to a concert. You count down the days, and each day feels super long, like the clock slows just for you. But then, after the event, the waiting time just blends into everything else. We focus on the now because that's where we make decisions and experience things. The future is more of an idea, something we plan for, but not something we can touch yet. So, maybe the future always feeling far away isn't a bad thing. Perhaps it's because the future isn't a fixed place we simply arrive at, but rather something we are constantly creating, moment by moment. It's always forming, always new. If it felt like it was already here, we wouldn't have the space to dream, to plan, or to grow. That distance gives us room to become who we are meant to be. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That the future is always inviting us to imagine and build something wonderful, one slow, deliberate step at a time. Have you ever thought about how we move through life? It feels like we're always going forward, doesn't it? Like something is carrying us along, whether we want it to or not. This idea that time is like a flowing river is really old. It suggests that time moves steadily, always in one direction, from the past through the present and into the future. We don't control the current, we're just passengers. Imagine a leaf on a stream. It just floats where the water takes it. That's how some people see us in time. We can't paddle upstream to yesterday, and we can't pause the flow to stay in a perfect moment forever. Ancient thinkers like a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus talked about this a long time ago. He famously said something like, "You can't step into the same river twice." What he meant was, the river is always changing. New water is always flowing. And so are we. And so is time. The moment you step out and then back in, it's not the exact same river and you're not the exact same person. Everything is constantly moving and changing. It's a deep way to think about how nothing truly stays still. Think about your school year. It starts in the fall, moves through winter, spring, and then summer. You don't get to restart September in April, right? That year flows onward, day by day, test by test, memory by memory. You experience it as it happens, one moment after another. That's kind of like being in a canoe on a river. You see the scenery change, you pass landmarks, but you can't go back to that cool spot you just left, not without a lot of effort against the current, which in time is impossible. So maybe time isn't just a measurement on a clock. Maybe it's a force, a gentle but unstoppable current we're all part of. We can't stop the river, but we can choose how we drift, what we see along the banks, and how we feel about the journey. It's a journey we're all on, together, moving forward into the unknown. And that's okay. There's a quiet beauty in simply flowing. Have you ever wished you could unsay something or undo a mistake, like dropping a glass and watching it shatter? We usually think of time as a straight road, always moving forward, from morning to night, from yesterday to today. But what if that road suddenly bent back on itself and everything started to rewind? To imagine time moving backward means that cause and effect would flip. Actions would undo themselves. A shattered glass would reassemble on the floor, then jump back into your hand. A song played on the radio would slowly unsing itself, notes gathering back into silence. Memories wouldn't be things we gain, but things we lose, fading as the events they were tied to unhappened. Philosophers and scientists have long thought about time's direction. We see the world move from order to disorder, like a neat room slowly getting messy, or a sandcastle crumbling. This everyday experience, this arrow of time, is why our world makes sense moving forward. Ancient thinkers, like those in Greece, often saw time as a line too, always pointing ahead, shaping our future from our past. They rarely imagined it flowing the other way, because everything we know from learning a new skill to a plant growing depends on that forward movement. So, if time suddenly started going backward, your latest drawing wouldn't be finished. Instead, the lines would pull back into the pencil, the colors draining away until the paper was blank again. You wouldn't be growing older, you'd be getting younger, unlearning what you knew, your experiences slowly disappearing. It would be a strange, quiet reversal of everything familiar. It makes us realize just how much of who we are and how we understand the world is built on time's steady, forward journey. Have you ever stopped to wonder what time might look like or what sound it makes? When you close your eyes and think about a long, slow summer day, does it feel like a soft, warm yellow? Or does the rushed feeling of a test morning make time seem like a quick, anxious tick-tock? It's interesting to imagine. The thing is, time itself, as an idea, doesn't actually have a color you can see or a sound you can hear with your ears. Time isn't a physical object like a chair or a tree. It's more like a way we understand change and how things happen in order. For thousands of years, people have tried to figure out what time really is. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a philosopher named Aristotle, thought of time as just a measure of motion, how things move from one state to another. It wasn't a thing on its own, but a way to describe events unfolding. Later, many began to picture it like a river, always flowing forward, never stopping. Scientists today sometimes talk about time as a dimension, like the height or width of a space. But none of these ideas give time a specific color or a noise you could record. Here's where our minds come in. We are amazing at connecting abstract ideas to our senses. Think about music. A really slow, calm piece of music might make time feel stretched out and peaceful, almost like a deep, quiet blue. But if you're listening to a super fast, energetic song, time seems to zip by, feeling bright and sharp, maybe like a flashing red. You don't literally see colors with your eyes or hear time itself, but your brain links the feeling of that music and how quickly time seems to pass to those sensory ideas. It's like how a happy memory might feel warm and bright, while a sad one feels cold and dim. So, time doesn't come prepackaged with a color or a sound. Instead, we are the ones who give it those qualities. Our feelings, our memories, and our unique experiences paint time with our own personal colors and fill it with our own quiet sounds. Time isn't just a measure on a clock, it's a reflection of how we live and feel each moment. Have you ever had a perfect day? A moment that felt so good you wished it could last forever? Like laughing with friends, or calm, quiet just before sleep? It's strange, isn't it? We experience something wonderful, and almost as soon as it begins, it starts to fade. We have to say goodbye. Here's the thing. Moments are like tiny, special bubbles in the big river of time. They flow by, bright and real, but they keep moving. We say goodbye to them because time itself keeps moving forward. It's not something we can stop or rewind. Think of it like watching a beautiful sunset. You can enjoy every color, every changing shade, but the sun keeps setting and then it's gone. The sky turns dark, and that exact sunset will never happen again. People have thought about this for thousands of years. An old Greek thinker named Heraclitus once said, "You can't step into the same river twice." What he meant was, the river is always flowing, always new water, and you are always changing too. So the moment you step in, it's different. This tells us everything is always changing, always moving on. Nothing stays exactly the same. It's not just about things disappearing. It's about life always becoming something new. So why do we say goodbye? Because moments aren't meant to be held on to forever. They are meant to be experienced. They leave a mark on us, like footprints in the sand, even after the tide comes in. And that's okay. It's how we learn to cherish the now, to truly be present in what's happening, knowing it will soon become a memory. It helps us see the beauty in every passing second because each one is unique and won't come back. Have you ever wondered why people often say, "Time heals all wounds"? It's a common phrase, but what does it really mean? It's not like time magically takes away the hurt. Instead, time offers a quiet, gentle space for things to change. It allows feelings to soften, memories to settle, and our minds to make sense of what happened. Think of it like a slow, steady rain that washes over everything, clearing away the dust and making things fresh again. So, how does this healing happen? Time gives us distance from the raw emotion. When something sad or difficult happens, our feelings can be really loud, taking up all the space in our minds. But as days and weeks pass, those loud feelings start to quiet down. This idea isn't new. For a long time, thinkers and cultures have understood that things get better with patience. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, believed in letting go of what you can't control and trusting that nature, including time, would help you through. It's part of the human experience, a kind of built-in wisdom. Here's an example. Imagine you've had a really bad day at school. Maybe you messed up on a test, or had a fight with a friend. In that moment, it feels like the worst thing ever. Your stomach might hurt, and you just want to hide. But as the evening comes, and then the next day, you start to feel a little lighter. You might realize it wasn't the end of the world. Time gives you room to breathe, to think clearly, and to maybe even forgive yourself or your friend. It's like a soft tide slowly pulling away the sharp edges of pain. And that's why time can be a healing thing. It doesn't erase what happened, but it helps us carry it differently. It reminds us that feelings are like waves. They come and they go. This gentle passage of time allows us to grow around our hurts, becoming stronger and wiser because of them. It's a quiet gift, always there, helping us move forward. Have you ever noticed how some days just rush by while others crawl? Like when you're totally lost in a game you love and suddenly hours have passed, but it felt like minutes. Or when you're stuck in a really boring class and the clock barely moves. Why does time play these tricks on us? Here's the thing. Time itself, the ticking of the clock, stays the same. A second is always a second. But our experience of time, how we feel it passing, can change a lot. This isn't just a random feeling, it's something our brains do. When we are having fun, our attention is fully grabbed. We are living in the moment, focused on what's happening right now. Our brains aren't busy storing every single detail or constantly checking how much time is left. Instead, they are soaking up the experience. People have wondered about this for ages, long before science as we know it. Ancient thinkers like Augustine of Hippo, way back in the 4th century, wrote about how time isn't just about objects moving in space. It's deeply tied to our minds and memories. He thought time was a distension of the mind, meaning our mind stretches or shrinks time based on our focus. Our inner world shapes how we see the outside world. So, imagine you're at an amusement park. You're laughing, riding roller coasters, maybe trying to win a prize. Your mind is buzzing with excitement. It's not focused on the clock, it's focused on the fun. Every new sensation is a thrill. Because your brain isn't busy recording a long, detailed list of ordinary events, when you look back, it feels like it went by quickly. But if you're doing something you find dull, like chores, your mind looks for anything to focus on, even the slow march of the second hand. It's a lot like how a memory of a short, intense moment can feel bigger than a long, uneventful one. In the end, maybe time speeding up when we're happy is a gentle reminder. It tells us that what truly matters isn't just how many minutes we have, but how fully we live them. It's about how much of ourselves we put into each moment, finding joy and connection. And those moments, even if they feel brief, are the ones that make our lives rich and full. Have you ever had a moment so big, so intense, that everything else seemed to fade away? Like the world just stopped spinning for a second? When someone says time stood still, they don't mean clocks literally stopped. It's not a magic trick. Instead, it's about how our minds deal with really powerful experiences. It's about how time feels to us, not what a stopwatch says. Think about it this way. For a long time, people have wondered about time. Is it always the same, or does it change for each person? Ancient philosophers, like the Greeks, talked about different kinds of time. There's chronos, which is clock time, always ticking forward. But then there's kairos, which is more about the right moment, a special, meaningful time. When time stands still, it's like we're stepping out of chronos and into a kairos moment, where the quality of the moment matters more than its length. Imagine you're watching a slow motion replay in a basketball game, or maybe you're in a car when it almost crashes. In that brief instant, your brain takes in so much information. It feels like minutes pass, but it was only a tiny fraction of a second. Or think about seeing something incredibly beautiful, like a perfect sunset. For that moment, you might forget everything else. Your worries, your to-do list, they all disappear. You are just completely there. So, time standing still isn't about time actually stopping. It's about how our awareness can expand or shrink. It's a feeling that tells us we are completely present, fully alive in that single blink. It shows us that time, in a way, lives inside us, not just on a clock. It's a reminder of how powerful our minds are in shaping our experience of the world, making the most important moments feel timeless. Do you ever just stop and wonder about time? Not the time on a clock, but time itself. It feels like a silent river, always flowing forward, carrying everything along with it. We live inside it, moving from one moment to the next, like boats on a steady current. But what is this river? Can we truly grasp its nature? For thousands of years, people have tried to figure this out. Ancient thinkers, long before anyone had wristwatches, would sit and puzzle over time. Was it real, they asked, or just something we made up in our minds to keep track of changes? They knew the sun rose and set, and seasons came and went, but what was the invisible force making it all happen? Later, even brilliant scientists like Albert Einstein showed us that time isn't as simple as we might think. He explained that time can actually stretch or shrink depending on how fast you're moving. That's a strange idea, right? It makes you wonder if time is really the same for everyone, or if it has secrets we haven't uncovered yet. Think about how time feels different in your own life. When you're waiting for summer vacation, an hour might feel like forever, dragging on and on. But then, when you're actually swimming at the beach with friends, that same hour seems to vanish in a flash, like it never even happened. Why does time play these tricks on our feelings? It's almost as if our minds have their own unique way of experiencing its flow, making it speed up or slow down depending on our joy or boredom. So, can we ever truly understand how time works, down to its deepest mystery? Maybe not in a way that fits neatly into a simple answer. Perhaps time is meant to be felt, to be lived through, rather than fully explained. It reminds us that some of the most profound things in our universe are also the most mysterious. And maybe, just maybe, that sense of wonder, that soft puzzle in our minds, is part of time's quiet gift to us. Have you ever felt a quiet ache in your chest when a perfect summer day suddenly turns into evening, or when a fantastic book ends too soon? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This isn't just about missing something. This sadness comes from a deep part of us that understands what it means for things to change, to end, and to become memories. When time seems to rush by, it's like we're losing a piece of the present, a moment we wanted to hold on to forever. This feeling connects to ancient thoughts about time. For thousands of years, people have wondered about how quickly life moves. Old philosophers, thinkers from long ago, often talked about how short human life is, like a fleeting dream. They believed that because time marches on, every single moment is incredibly precious. They weren't sad that time passed, but they understood that its passing made each now unique and unrepeatable. It's this idea that sparks a feeling of loss when we realize a happy time is slipping away. We can't rewind, and that realization can be bittersweet. Think about a time when you were laughing with friends, maybe at a big family gathering or during a field trip. You're totally in the moment, having the best time. Then, suddenly, someone says, "It's time to go." And a little wave of sadness washes over you. You didn't want it to end. That quick sadness is your heart telling you how much you valued that experience. It's the swift flow of time reminding you that even the happiest moments are temporary. So, this sadness isn't a bad thing. It's actually a sign that you have deeply felt and cherished something. It means you were truly present and connected to that moment. And in that feeling, there's a quiet invitation to appreciate the very next second, to notice the small wonders around you, because they too will soon become part of the story you remember. It reminds us to live fully, right now. Have you ever felt a school day drag on forever, but a fun Saturday zip by in a blink? Here's the thing, a day always has 24 hours, but how we feel those hours can be totally different. It's like time bends, not in outer space, but right inside our own minds. People have thought about this for a very long time. Even before we had fancy clocks, ancient thinkers noticed that time wasn't just a steady beat. It was something our feelings and experiences shaped. They understood that when you're waiting for something exciting, time seems to crawl. But when you're having a blast, it flies. Think about an hour spent in a dentist's waiting room. Every minute can feel heavy, each second stretching out. You keep checking the clock, and it barely moves. But then, picture an hour spent playing your favorite video game with friends. That same 60 minutes just vanishes. You look up, and suddenly it's been an hour, but it felt like 5 minutes. This isn't magic. It's how our brains work. When we're really focused and happy, our minds are busy, completely absorbed in the moment. We're not paying attention to the clock. So, time seems to speed up because we're not constantly checking how much has passed. But when we're bored or waiting for something, our attention turns right to the clock. We become super aware of every ticking second, which makes each one feel much longer. And here's another interesting thing. Our memories play a part too. A day packed with lots of new experiences can feel very long when you look back at it later. That's because there's so much to remember, so many moments. But a day where not much happened might feel short, even if it was just as long, because there's little to recall. So, the length of a day isn't just about the sun crossing the sky. It's about what we do with those hours, how our feelings color them, and how our memories hold them. Time, it seems, is not just something out there, but something we experience deep inside ourselves. It's a mystery that reminds us to really appreciate the moments that make a day feel full, whether they fly by or stay with us. Have you ever stopped to wonder if time itself, this constant flow, actually began somewhere, or if it will someday just stop? It's a deep question, one that makes you feel tiny in the face of something so huge. We think of our own lives, which clearly have a start and an end. But what about time for everything else? For a very long time, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, like a guy named Aristotle from Old Greece, believed that time was eternal. For him, time was tied to movement and change in the universe. And since the universe always moved, time just was. It never began, and it would never end. It was like a river that flowed forever. But then, many different religions came along with a different idea. They often taught that time began with creation. Like, when God made the world, that's when time started. Before that, there was no time in the way we understand it. It's a bit like someone pressing the play button on a universe-sized movie. And science, today, offers us another way to think about it. The Big Bang Theory suggests our universe, and time as we experience it, began about 13.8 billion years ago. It's like the universe went from a tiny, super hot speck to everything we see now, and time came with it. But this still leaves a big puzzle. What was before the Big Bang? Was it nothing? Or was it just a different kind of something where time didn't exist in the same way? Think of it like a story you're reading. The story itself has a beginning and an end, right? You turn the first page, you read the last. But the idea of stories, of telling tales, has been around forever and will probably continue as long as people are around. Does time work like that? Our universe's story began, but maybe the concept of time is bigger than just our universe. It's truly a mystery, and it's okay that we don't have all the answers. Sometimes, the most important questions are the ones that make us think the most. Even if they don't have a simple answer, they remind us how much there is to learn and wonder about in this amazing universe. Isn't it a bit strange how we say we need to make time for something? Like time is just there, right? It ticks on second by second, hour by hour, whether we're paying attention or not. We can't build more of it, like a new room in a house. We can't buy it, like a new video game. So, what do we really mean when we talk about making time? The idea behind this phrase isn't about creating extra minutes or hours out of thin air. It's more about a deeply human choice. Thinkers long ago, like the ancient Greeks, often saw time as an unstoppable river. It flows on, constant and steady, and you can't make the river flow faster or slower, but you can decide what you do as it passes by. So when we say make time, we're actually talking about choosing how to spend the time we already have. It's about prioritizing what matters to us. Imagine you have a full backpack for school. You can't make the backpack bigger, but you can choose what you put inside it. Maybe you make room for your favorite art supplies by taking out something less important. It's the same with time. When you decide to make time to call a grandparent or practice an instrument, you're not magically adding hours to the day. You're simply choosing to use some of your existing time for that specific thing, maybe moving something else aside. It makes us think, doesn't it? Time just keeps moving, like a quiet companion. But how we feel that journey, what we choose to place in the precious moments given to us, that's where our own quiet power lies. We don't make time. We make choices within it. And those choices shape our lives, one moment at a time. Have you ever stopped to wonder if time is more than just the tick-tock of a clock, always pulling us forward? We live in a world with 3 dimensions we can easily see and move through. Up and down, left and right, forward and back. But what if time itself is like a 4th direction? A dimension we constantly travel through, but can't quite grasp in the same way. Imagine you're looking at a flat drawing on a piece of paper. That drawing has only 2 dimensions, length and width. If you were a tiny character living inside that drawing, you'd only know those 2 directions. You couldn't imagine something like up or down off the page. Now, imagine we are like those characters, but instead of being stuck in 2 dimensions, we're stuck in 3. Time, then, would be that invisible 4th direction we're always moving along. This isn't just a fun thought experiment. Brilliant thinkers, like Albert Einstein, explored this idea seriously. He taught us about space-time, suggesting that space and time aren't separate things, but woven together into one big fabric of the universe. It's like they're 2 sides of the same coin. Philosophers have also pondered if all of time, past, present, and future, exists all at once. Just like all the pages of a book exist, even if you're only reading 1 page at a time, we experience life moment by moment. But maybe every moment is already out there, just waiting for us to arrive. Think about a movie on a DVD. When you watch it, you see scenes one after another. But the entire movie, every scene, every second is already encoded on that disc. The whole story is there from start to finish. We just experience it in sequence. Perhaps our lives and all of time are like that DVD. The entire journey already exists, and we are simply playing through our part of it. It's a deep thought. It can make you feel small in a vast universe, but also incredibly connected to everything. If time is a dimension, then perhaps the past isn't truly gone, and the future isn't truly unwritten. They might simply be other points in this unseen 4th direction, waiting to be seen or experienced. This thought can bring a strange kind of calm, knowing that every moment, every memory might just be forever present in the silent expanse of time. Have you ever stopped to wonder if everything, all the stars, galaxies, and even our own planet moves to some hidden ancient rhythm? It's a deep thought, isn't it? When we talk about the universe having its own giant clock, we aren't picturing a huge ticking machine with hands in space. Instead, we're asking if there's a fundamental, constant pulse to all of existence. Is there a built-in beat that makes everything unfold? For a very long time, thinkers believed time was like a flowing river, always moving at the same speed for everyone, everywhere. It was seen as something separate from us, a steady beat that simply was. Ancient people saw the sun rise and set, the moon change shape, and the seasons turn. These cycles were their first clocks, showing them that time was about repeating patterns and constant motion. Here's how it works. Everything in the universe is constantly changing. Stars are born, they shine, and they fade away. Planets orbit their suns. Even the smallest atoms move and vibrate. This endless process of change, this universal unfolding, is what we might imagine as the universe's own heartbeat. But then, brilliant minds like Albert Einstein came along, and here's what they found. Time isn't quite as simple as that steady river. They showed us that time can actually speed up or slow down depending on how fast you're moving or how much gravity is around you. Imagine you're running, and for you, time passes just a tiny bit differently than for someone sitting still. It's a strange idea, right? So maybe the universe's clock isn't one perfect, unchanging tick. Instead, it's more like a living, breathing thing, a vast, woven pattern of all the changes happening across everything. It's not just a measurement, it's the very way existence happens. Perhaps the universe's clock isn't a machine at all, but the gentle dance of everything, a slow, grand hum that we are all a part of. Have you ever looked at the clock and wondered where the day went? 1 minute, you're just starting your homework, and the next, it's already dark outside. It feels like time speeds up, doesn't it? Like it's a river flowing faster and faster, rushing past us before we can catch our breath. Here's the thing, time itself, the steady march of seconds into minutes and hours, doesn't actually speed up or slow down. A second is always a second, no matter what. But our experience of time, how it feels inside our minds, is a completely different story. It's like time has a secret switch, controlled by our feelings and what we're doing. For a long, long time, people have thought about this feeling. Ancient thinkers wondered if time was a thing that truly existed on its own, or if it was just something we humans made up to keep track of things. They noticed that when you're doing something fun, like playing a video game or hanging out with friends, time seems to vanish. The hours just melt away. But then, if you're sitting in a really boring class, or waiting for something important, time can feel like it's crawling. Each minute stretches on forever. So, it's not time changing, but our brains are paying different amounts of attention to it. When we're busy and engaged, our brains are focused on the activity, not on how much time is passing. When we're bored, our minds look for things to do, and one of those things is to notice how slowly the clock is ticking. And as we grow older, we gather more memories, and each year becomes a smaller fraction of the years we've lived. So, when you're 8, a year is a huge part of your life. But when you're 80, a year is just a tiny sliver. That might be why time feels like it's speeding up the older we get. It's not that time is truly vanishing. It's more about our perspective shifting and the way our minds measure moments. So, perhaps the feeling of time running out isn't a problem to solve, but a gentle reminder to notice the beauty of each passing moment and to choose what we fill them with. Have you ever stopped to really watch the world outside and felt time moving? Our planet spins, and it travels in a big circle around the sun. This yearly journey gives us the seasons, and in those seasons, nature keeps a kind of diary, showing us time passing without words. Spring bursts forth with new green leaves and tiny buds, a quiet promise, a fresh start. Then summer arrives, full of long, bright days and vibrant life. As the air cools, autumn paints the trees in reds and golds, a beautiful goodbye. It's a time of letting go. Finally, winter settles in, quiet and still, often covered in snow. It's a time of rest, a pause before the cycle begins again. For thousands of years, people looked to the seasons to understand their lives. Ancient farmers knew when to plant and harvest, but they also saw a deeper truth. Life has its own rhythm, its own beginning and quiet end before a new start. Philosophers saw the flow of seasons as a metaphor for human life, reminding us that change is always happening. Think of it like reading a book. Each season is a chapter, different in its mood, but all part of the same big story. You feel the story moving forward just by turning the pages. The seasons are nature's chapters, marking the flow of moments into days and days into years. They show us that time isn't just numbers on a clock. It's a living, breathing thing, shown in every leaf that turns, every snowflake that falls, and every flower that blooms. It's a gentle whisper that reminds us of life's constant, beautiful journey. Have you ever looked at an old photo, perhaps of yourself when you were much younger, or a family trip from years ago? What happens inside your mind when you see it? It's like that moment, that specific second, just stops. But time doesn't stop, does it? It keeps flowing forward, always. So, here's the thing. A picture isn't really stopping time. Instead, it's like a small, flat window into one tiny slice of time. Think of time as a big river always rushing ahead. A photograph is like scooping up just one cup of that river water. You hold that cup, and it stays exactly the same, even as the rest of the river rushes past you. People have wanted to capture moments for a very long time. Before cameras, artists painted portraits or scenes, but those took hours or days. They weren't instant. Then, in the 1800s, photography was invented. Suddenly, with a click, light could be trapped on a special surface. It was a kind of magic, letting us freeze a blink, a smile, or a cloud in the sky, exactly as it was in that precise second. This invention changed everything. It gave us a way to hold on to moments we never could before, helping us remember in a whole new way. Imagine a picture of your pet, maybe a cat mid-yawn or a dog shaking water off. In the photo, that yawn is forever caught, that splash never ends. But in real life, your pet quickly moved on, blinked, and did 100 other things. The picture lets you go back to that one specific little instant. It lets you feel it again, even though the real moment is long gone. So, pictures don't truly stop time, but they give us something incredibly close. They offer us a way to revisit feelings, to see faces we miss, and to remember how things once were. They are quiet reminders that even though every second passes and is gone forever, some seconds can be held onto not in reality, but in our hearts and on a piece of paper. It's a beautiful way to understand that while life always moves forward, our memories can loop back to cherished moments. Have you ever noticed how some days feel super long, while others just zip by? Like a boring class can drag on forever, but a fun afternoon with friends feels like it ends in 5 minutes. Why is that? Maybe it's because time isn't just this steady river flowing by us, always the same speed. What if, instead, time is really about what we feel and what we remember? Think about it. If nothing ever happened, if we never learned anything new or felt anything, would time even exist for us? Some thinkers, like the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, talked about how we measure time by looking at changes. He thought we noticed time passing because things happen. And much later, even people like St. Augustine, a deep thinker from a long, long time ago, wondered if time only exists in our minds. He said that the past is just our memory of it, and the future is just what we expect to happen. The present is the only real part, and even that is always slipping away. Think about a summer vacation. You might remember the big, exciting moments. The day you learned to surf, or the night you saw a shooting star. Those big, bright experiences are like the beads on a string, and the quieter, ordinary moments might not stand out as much. When you look back, your summer isn't just 3 months long. It's a collection of those special memories, those feelings, those moments that changed you or made you smile. That's your time. So, if time is truly a collection of our experiences, then every single moment counts. The little things you do, the kindness you show, the new ideas you learn, they aren't just moments passing. They are time itself. It means we're not just moving through time, but we are actually creating it moment by moment with how we live and what we feel. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? That our lives aren't just lived in time, but our time. Have you ever noticed how time can feel so different depending on what you're doing? Think about it. Sometimes An hour feels like forever, like when you're stuck in a really boring class. But then, other times, an entire afternoon with friends just vanishes in what feels like minutes. Here's the thing, time isn't just about the clock ticking. It's also about how our minds experience it. Our thoughts, feelings, and what we focus on can stretch or shrink how time feels inside us. This idea isn't new. For centuries, thinkers have wondered if time is a fixed thing outside of us or something our minds help create. Even ancient philosophers, like a smart thinker named St. Augustine from way back, talked about this. He wondered if time was less about seconds on a clock and more about how our minds remember the past, pay attention to the present, and expect the future. He thought time might be something that stretches out inside our own thoughts, not just a line moving forward out there in the world. Think of it this way. Imagine you're waiting for a doctor's appointment. Every minute drags. You check the clock, then check it again. Time feels heavy and slow. But then you're playing your favorite video game, completely absorbed. Hours fly by. You look up, and suddenly it's dark outside. The actual clock didn't change speed, but your experience of time did. So, yes, how we think about time, what we do, and how we feel truly changes how it feels. It's like our minds have a secret dial for time speed. This means time isn't just something that happens to us. It's also something we actively shape with our own thoughts and emotions. It makes time even more mysterious and personal, doesn't it? Have you ever stopped to wonder why we have such a complicated relationship with time? One minute we're begging it to speed up, and the next we're wishing it would just freeze. Why is that? Here's the thing. Time itself just keeps moving. It doesn't actually speed up or slow down, but our human experience of it, our feelings, they change everything. When we're bored, like sitting in a really long math class, every second feels like a minute. Time stretches out, dragging its feet. You might stare at the clock, willing it to move faster. That feeling of wanting time to hurry up usually comes from impatience or discomfort. We want to get past something unpleasant and move on to what's next, something better. But then, think about your birthday party or a really fun weekend trip. Doesn't time just zoom by? It feels like minutes pass when hours actually have. This wish for time to slow down often happens when we're happy, when we're enjoying something so much that we want it to last forever. People throughout history have felt this push and pull. Ancient thinkers and even poets from long ago often wrote about how quickly life seemed to pass and how important it was to enjoy the present moment. They thought about how our lives are brief journeys and how each moment is precious. So, it's not time that changes. It's us. Our hopes, our fears, our joy, and our boredom. These feelings are like lenses that make time seem to move differently. Maybe the goal isn't to control time, which we can't, but to notice how we feel in each moment. It's about being present, whether time feels like it's crawling or flying. That's why it matters to really be in the moment you're in. Have you ever wondered how we can be standing right here, right now, experiencing this very moment, and yet suddenly remember a birthday party from years ago? It's like our minds are time travelers, even though our bodies are stuck in the now. This is one of the biggest mysteries of time and consciousness. Here's the thing. The past isn't a place we can physically visit. Those moments are gone, just like sand slipping through your fingers. But our brains have this amazing ability to capture pieces of what happened. They don't just record things. They store feelings, sounds, sights, and even smells, creating what we call memories. When we remember, we're not pulling the past into the present. Instead, our brains are kind of replaying these stored recordings. Thinkers for thousands of years have thought about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, believed that knowledge itself was really just remembering things our souls already knew. Later, people like John Locke talked about how our memories are what make us us. They link our past self to our present self, creating our identity. Without memory, we wouldn't know who we are or what we've learned. It's like when you hear a specific song, and suddenly you're back at a summer camp, feeling the sun and hearing your friends' laughter. The song isn't the camp, but it triggers a vivid mental replay of that time. Your brain is bringing up those old connections, those stored bits of information. Or imagine a library. The books aren't the actual events, but they contain all the stories. Your brain is that library, and your memories are the books you can pull off the shelf. So while we live in this constant moving present, Our minds are rich with echoes of what has been. This ability to remember isn't just about knowing facts. It's about connecting with our own story. It allows us to learn from yesterday, appreciate how far we've come, and carry the lessons and joys of our journey with us, making us whole. It's a beautiful, quiet way that the past continues to shape our present. Have you ever been stuck in a moment that felt like it would never end? Maybe you were waiting for something important, or perhaps sitting in a class that felt impossibly long. It's strange, isn't it? How a clock minute is always 60 seconds, but sometimes those seconds stretch out, feeling like an eternity. This isn't about the clock at all. It's about how our minds experience time. Think of time not just as a straight line, but as something our brains can shape. When we are bored, or waiting, or even feeling a lot of discomfort, our minds tend to zoom in on every tiny detail, every second. It's like our inner lens slows down, making each moment bigger, heavier. Long ago, ancient Greek thinkers had different ways to talk about time. There was Chronos, which was just the steady, tick-tock time of clocks and calendars, the kind we all agree on. But then there was Kairos, a different kind of time. Kairos wasn't about minutes or hours. It was about the right moment, the quality of a moment, a special, meaningful time that might feel huge, even if it was short by the clock. They knew that some moments just carry more weight, more presence. So, when you're watching a kettle boil or waiting for a bus in the rain, your brain might register every single second passing. It's like it's saying, pay attention, this is happening. And so, those moments seem to last forever. But then, when you're deeply engrossed in drawing or reading a really good book, time seems to vanish. You look up, and hours have flown by. It shows us that time isn't just outside us, moving steadily along. A big part of time lives inside our heads, shaped by our feelings, our focus, and what we are doing. The moments that truly feel like they last forever are often the ones where our attention is most intense, for better or for worse. They become etched deeper into our memory, not because they were longer on a clock, but because our minds lived them more fully. Have you ever stopped to think about what time really is? Is it a flowing river that carries us along, or something else entirely? We talk about wasting time or making time, but what if it's less like a physical thing and more like a giant story we all agree to tell? Think about it. We use words like past, present, and future. We set clocks and calendars. These are tools, ways we organize events. But what if time isn't out there, like gravity or the sun? But instead, it's something we build in our minds together. It's like a shared idea, a framework we use to make sense of things happening in a sequence. We say the sun rises, then it's morning, then noon. That's a story we tell about the sun's path. For a long time, people like ancient Greek thinkers saw time as connected to movement, the sun moving, seasons changing. It was real because things were always shifting. But some philosophers have wondered if time is less about how the world is and more about how we experience the world. It's like a language we all learn to speak so we can coordinate and understand each other. If we didn't have words for yesterday or next week, how will we plan anything? Think about a school bell. It rings and everyone knows it's time for the next class. That bell doesn't create time. It marks a moment we all agree is the end of one thing and the start of another. The minutes on the clock are just numbers, but we've given them meaning. That's a powerful story we've made up together, and that's why it matters. So, maybe time isn't a strict master, but a kind of gentle guide we've all invented. It allows us to remember, to plan, to hope. It's a beautiful shared agreement that helps us navigate our lives, woven from moments and memories. Have you ever noticed how a favorite song seems to end too quickly? Or how a long, slow piece can make time feel like it's stretching out forever? It's a strange thing, isn't it? Our minds don't always track time the way a clock does. Here's the thing. How we feel time passing is very personal, and music has a powerful way of messing with that feeling. It's not about the actual seconds or minutes, but how our brain experiences those moments. Think of it this way. Music has a rhythm, a pulse, just like our own heartbeat or the way we walk. When we listen, our minds can sometimes sync up with that beat. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosophers believed music wasn't just noise. They thought it had a deep, almost magical connection to the universe itself and to our inner souls. They saw music as a way to bring harmony, and they understood its power to move us, to change our mood, and even to change our sense of time. So, how does this play out in our daily lives? Imagine you're on a long car ride, bored, and time feels super slow. But then you put on your favorite upbeat playlist, and suddenly, the miles seem to fly by. Or maybe you're studying, and a calm instrumental tune helps you focus so much that you completely lose track of an hour. The music becomes like a gentle current, carrying you along, making the real clock almost disappear. It can make a wait feel shorter, or a moment feel longer and more important. This shows us something cool about time and how flexible it can be in our minds. Music doesn't just fill silence. It can reshape our experience of the present moment. It can make us feel like we're speeding through life or like we're lingering in a beautiful, stretched out moment. And that's why it matters. Music helps us feel time not just as a ticking clock, but as a living, breathing thing, full of emotion and changing rhythms. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the clock seems to crawl, especially when you feel really alone? Each second stretches out, long and slow, almost pressing down on you. But then, other times, hours fly by, like when you're having fun with friends. Why is it that when we're lonely, time doesn't just pass, it lingers? Here's the thing, clock time always moves at the same steady pace. A minute is always 60 seconds. But how we feel time, how our minds experience it, changes a lot. When you're lonely, your mind has fewer outside distractions. You're not caught up in conversations or games. Instead, your focus turns inward. You might think more about yourself or what's missing. This inner focus makes every moment feel more noticeable, more intense. It's like waiting in an empty room versus a busy, noisy hall. In the quiet room, every tick of the clock is loud. Philosophers for thousands of years have wondered about this. They knew time wasn't just a number on a clock. They understood that our inner world, our thoughts and emotions affect our sense of reality. They saw that how we experience time depends on what we are doing and feeling. Think about being in a boring class. That hour can feel like forever, right? But if you're playing your favorite video game, hours disappear. When you're lonely, your brain isn't busy processing new, exciting things from the outside. So, without those engaging signals, time can feel stretched and empty. It's like your internal clock slows down because there's less fun to process. So, when time feels heavy, it's not because time has changed. It's a powerful sign of what's happening inside you. Our feelings and attention truly shape our experience of the world, even how fast a day seems to pass. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest weight isn't physical, but emotional, felt deep within our quiet minds. Have you ever thought about how tiny a moment can be? Like really, truly tiny? Sometimes we talk about a split second as if it's almost nothing. But here's the thing, a split second isn't nothing. It's a slice of time, so thin, so quick, you might miss it if you blink. It's a moment so brief, it feels like it just is. And yet, within that quick flash, everything can change. Thinkers throughout history have wondered about the now. Is it always moving? Is it truly a point in time, or just a feeling? The ancient Greeks, for instance, had different ways to talk about time. One idea was kairos, which wasn't just about seconds ticking by. It was about the right moment, the perfect, brief window of opportunity. So, a split second isn't just a measurement. It can be that kairos moment, that tiny, perfect window. Imagine you're playing a video game. You're trying to dodge something or hit a target. That one instant, that quick twitch of your thumb or click of your mouse determines if you win or lose. It's not a whole minute. It's that one tiny piece of time. Or think about a photographer capturing a bird mid-flight. It's only that precise, quick click that freezes the perfect image. So, even though a split second is almost too fast to notice, it holds so much power. It reminds us that every single moment, no matter how small, has a kind of magic to it. It teaches us to pay attention, to be present, because even the quickest beat of the clock can shape what comes next. It's a quiet reminder that life isn't just big events, but a collection of these tiny, powerful nows. Imagine a clock in an empty room. Does it still tick? Does 1 second follow another, even if no one is there to hear it, to mark its passing? This question makes us think deeply about time itself. For a long time, many smart people believed time was like a huge, invisible river flowing constantly, everywhere, always at the same speed. Isaac Newton, a famous scientist, saw time this way. He called it absolute time. To him, time was just there. It was a basic part of the universe, separate from us or any events. It would exist even if nothing else did. But here's the thing. Other thinkers wondered. A philosopher named Immanuel Kant suggested that maybe time isn't something out there at all. Instead, he thought it's how our minds are built. Our brains naturally arrange events in a sequence, one thing before another. So for Kant, time was like a special lens. It's how our minds make sense of reality. It's part of how we experience the world. Think about a giant redwood tree growing quietly in a faraway forest, a place no human has ever visited. It adds new rings year after year. Is time passing for that tree, even if no one is there to count them? Or think about stars in vast space. They are born, live, and die. Light travels for millions of years. Did those events happen in time before any mind was around to see them? This makes us wonder, is time simply a powerful tool our human minds use to understand the world? Or is it a deep, unchanging part of the universe itself? Does it flow on, whether we're here to notice it or not? It's a quiet mystery. It reminds us how strange and wonderful existence truly is. Have you ever wondered why the clock seems to be the boss of everything? We have school bells, seasons, tell trees when to grow. It often feels like time has strict rules we just have to obey. But here's the thing, maybe these rules aren't commands. They might be more like the deep, natural rhythms of the universe. Our world moves in cycles. The sun rises and sets. Seasons come and go. For thousands of years before clocks, people lived by these natural rhythms. Ancient farmers watched stars to know when to plant crops. They knew if they planted too early or late, their harvest would fail. This wasn't a rule, but an understanding of how life works. Philosophers from ancient Greece, like Heraclitus, said everything is always changing, always flowing, like a river. He said you can't step into the same river twice because new water is always moving. This suggests time isn't a solid thing we push against, but a constant flowing movement we are part of. So, if we follow time's rules, it's often because our world and our bodies work best with these natural rhythms. Imagine trying to make a tiny seed become a giant oak tree overnight. It's impossible. The seed needs sunshine, water, and time to slowly grow stage by stage. It has its own inner clock. We are a lot like that seed. Our minds need sleep, our bodies need to grow, and lessons need time to sink in. And that's why it matters. Maybe following time's rules is less about obeying and more about being in harmony with life's quiet, steady pulse. It's about recognizing that everything has its own timing, its own moment to bloom. We aren't just following rules. We are part of a larger, beautiful dance that unfolds moment by moment. Have you ever stopped to wonder if time truly flows, like a river moving forward? Or what if it's more like a trick our minds play, helping us make sense of a changing world? It's a deep thought, and it's not a new one. Some thinkers, old and new, suggest time isn't a real thing out there, separate from us. They believe the past isn't gone and the future isn't coming in the way we usually imagine. Instead, every now just is. It's like all of time, past, present, and future is already laid out, and our awareness simply moves through it, creating the feeling of forward motion. An ancient Greek thinker, Parmenides, believed that nothing truly changes, so time passing wouldn't make sense. Much later, Albert Einstein, a famous scientist, showed something similar. He proved that time isn't fixed for everyone. It can speed up or slow down depending on your movement or where you are in space. This makes time feel less like a constant, universal tick-tock, and more like something flexible, linked to space itself. Think about a flip book. Each page is a still drawing. When you flip them fast, it looks like movement, but the movement isn't in the pages themselves. Your brain creates that feeling from the still pictures. Maybe our lives are like that. Each moment a still picture, a unique now. And our minds connect them, making us feel like we're moving through time. So, if time is an illusion, what does this mean? It doesn't make life less real or important. Instead, it might make this very moment, this now, even more special. It means we are always right here, right now, and perhaps that's all we truly have. It's a calming thought, knowing every moment simply is. Have you ever noticed how a few seconds of quiet can sometimes stretch out, feeling like forever? Like when you're waiting for a teacher to call on someone, or for the results of a big test. The clock ticks by, but inside your head, time seems to slow down, holding its breath with you. Here's the thing, time isn't just about the ticking hands on a clock. It's also how our minds experience things. When there's no sound, no distractions, our brains don't just stop. They often turn inward. We might become more aware of our own thoughts, our feelings, even the sound of our own breathing. And when we're that aware, a short pause can feel incredibly long. It's like when you're counting seconds, but your mind is also busy worrying or wondering. That inner chatter makes the moment feel heavier, more stretched out. Thinkers throughout history have wondered about this. Way back, philosophers like St. Augustine talked about how time isn't just something out there that we measure. He believed time also lives inside us, in our minds. Our memory of the past, our focus on the present, and what we expect in the future all blend to shape how we feel time passing. So, a moment of silence, without outside things to grab our attention, makes us face our own internal clock. This clock can tick differently than the one on the wall. It's a bit like when you're holding a plank during gym class. 2 minutes might fly by if you're laughing with friends. But if you're alone, muscles burning, those same 2 minutes can feel like an hour. The physical discomfort, combined with the lack of outside focus, makes your internal clock drag. So, the next time silence seems to linger, remember it's not just the clock's fault. It's your mind exploring its own vast space, making a brief moment an eternity. And that, in itself, is kind of amazing. Have you ever looked at the clock and felt a strange tug, a deep wish for the day to just stretch, like there's never quite enough time for everything you want to do? We often say, if only I had more hours, or where did the day go? This feeling isn't new. It's a very human, almost poetic longing. Here's the thing, time as we measure it is constant. There are always 24 hours, but our experience of time is not. What we wish for isn't a longer day in a scientific sense. We wish for more space within those hours, more room to play, learn, rest, dream, simply be. This wish comes from a deep desire within us for growth, connection, mastery, peace. Think about people long ago. Farmers centuries ago, for example, couldn't add hours to their day. Their work was tied to the sun's rhythm, but they probably felt the rush before winter or needed more daylight to finish a harvest. They might have wished for more time, not to control it, but because their lives depended on fitting vital tasks into the seasons. So wanting more time isn't a modern problem. It's an old human challenge, tied to our hopes and limits. Imagine your own day. You might have school, then a club, homework, and you also really want to read that new book or spend time with family. It feels like a puzzle, right? Sometimes the pieces just don't fit. You wish for an extra hour, just one, to finish that chapter or have a longer talk. This isn't just about scheduling. It's about a feeling of incompleteness, a sense that there's more life to live than the hours allow. So, when we wish for more hours, maybe we're not asking for a change in physics. Maybe we're truly expressing our yearning for a fuller life, a life where we don't feel rushed or cut short. It's a quiet reminder to ourselves that every moment is precious, and that our greatest desire is simply to live it fully, deeply, and without regret. Have you ever really stopped to think about time, not just as minutes ticking by, but as a path? We always seem to move forward, don't we? Like an arrow shot from a bow, time flies from the past into the future. It never seems to turn around. But why is that? Why can't we unring a bell or unspill a glass of milk? These everyday happenings hint at a deeper truth about the universe. Here's the thing. Scientists and thinkers have pondered this for ages. They call it the arrow of time. It's the idea that time has a clear direction, always flowing from things being more orderly to becoming less orderly. Imagine a tidy room. Over time, without effort, it gets messy, right? Toys spread out, clothes on the floor. It never just spontaneously gets clean again on its own. This natural spreading out, this tendency for things to become more mixed up, is what helps give time its one-way street feeling in the physical world. Even ancient philosophers might have wondered about this. They saw seasons cycle, but life itself seemed to move in one distinct direction, from birth to old age, from cause to effect. So the idea of time always pushing forward, never backward, isn't new. It's built into how our world works, from tiny atoms to massive stars. A simple example: when you drop a cup, it shatters. You can't just wish it back together, whole and unbroken. That breaking, that spreading out of pieces, happens in a way that clearly shows time moving only one way, and that's why it matters. This constant forward motion means every single moment is precious. The past is a memory, fixed forever in what has been. The future is unwritten, a blank page full of possibilities that are yet to come. So we find ourselves living in this one-way river, carrying us gently from what was to what will be. It reminds us to truly feel each moment, to hold on to the good ones, and to learn from the ones that are hard. Because once it's gone, that particular moment, like a soft whisper carried on the wind, won't pass this way again. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if every single second, every tiny tick of the clock felt completely separate and special? Most of the time, our moments blend together like colors in a watercolor painting. 1 minute flows into the next, and before we know it, an hour, a day, even a week has passed in a kind of blurry rush. But what if each second stood out, clear and sharp, like a single perfect drop of rain? This idea is about noticing everything in time, not letting it slip by unnoticed. It means experiencing each breath, each thought, each tiny sound or feeling as a distinct event, separate from the one before it and the one after. Think about it like this. Usually we watch a movie at normal speed, but what if you could watch it in super slow motion, seeing every single frame, every tiny movement, every flicker of light? That's a bit like what it might be to feel every moment distinctly. Ancient thinkers and even some philosophers today have explored similar ideas. They often talk about something called mindfulness, which is about paying close attention to the present moment on purpose, without judging it. People like Buddhist monks have practiced this for centuries, believing that truly living in the now, being aware of each distinct moment, can lead to a deeper understanding of life and a greater sense of peace. They saw that our minds often rush ahead or look back, missing the richness of what's happening right now. So, imagine you're eating a piece of chocolate. Instead of just swallowing it quickly, you'd notice the texture melting, the exact taste, the way it feels on your tongue, the slight shift in flavor, and even the feeling of your jaw moving. Every tiny part of that experience would be distinct. It makes you wonder, would life become overwhelming with so much detail, or would it feel incredibly rich and full? Maybe it's not about slowing time down, but about us truly waking up to the time we already have. Have you ever stopped and really thought about how quiet time is? I mean, think about it for a minute. Everything around us seems to be moving, changing, rushing, often with some kind of sound. But time itself, this amazing force that carries us from one moment to the next, makes no sound at all. It never stops, not even for a tiny fraction of a second, yet we can't hear it tick or hum. It's just there, silent. Here's the thing. We often imagine powerful or always moving things as being loud. A huge storm has thunder. A busy city street is full of noise. Even a tiny hummingbird makes a buzzing sound. But time is different. It's like a deep, wide river, always flowing, always moving forward, carrying everything with it. It's been flowing since before humans even walked the earth, and it will keep flowing long after we're gone, and still no sound. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosophers often talked about time. They saw it as something constant, like that flowing river, always pushing forward. They knew it was powerful, but they didn't describe it as having a voice or making noise. Maybe because it truly has none. We built clocks with ticking gears and chimes to try and give time a sound, to help us measure its passing. But that sound isn't time itself. It's just our human way of trying to grasp something so vast and silent. Think about your own breath. It's always happening, right? You breathe in, you breathe out all day, all night, without ever truly stopping. But you usually don't hear it unless you really focus. It's a quiet, constant rhythm, always working, keeping you alive. Time is a lot like that. It's the steady, silent rhythm of everything in the universe, holding everything together without ever needing to make a fuss or draw attention to itself. And that's why it matters. This quietness reminds us that the biggest, most powerful things in life don't always need to shout to be important. Time just exists. It moves, it changes, it brings new things, it takes old things away, all without a sound. It's a calm, silent reminder of how truly powerful something can be when it simply is steady and unnoticed, carrying us all along. Isn't it strange how we live by the steady tick-tock of clocks, yet time itself makes no sound? We can hear a heartbeat, the wind, a whispered secret, but time, that constant flow, remains silent. What does that tell us about time? Here's the thing. Clocks are human inventions. They are tools we created to try and measure something huge and invisible. Think of it like this. If you want to know how long a race is, you measure it in meters or miles. You don't hear the meter itself, do you? You hear the footsteps, the crowd, the runner's breath. The meter is a unit of measurement for distance. Similarly, a clock's tick is a unit of measurement for time. It's a tiny, regular beat we made up to mark seconds, minutes, hours. For thousands of years, people look for ways to keep track of this silent force. Ancient Egyptians used shadows from the sun, like sundials. They noticed how shadows moved and shortened throughout the day, giving them a way to tell time. Later, people used dripping water in water clocks, or burning candles marked with lines. These were all ways to make how time moved visible or measurable. They wanted to understand something that felt hard to grasp, something that was always there but never truly seen. Thinkers long ago, like in ancient Greece, wondered if time was a real thing or just an idea in our minds. They understood time isn't a physical object, but an idea. So the tick of a clock isn't time speaking to us. It's our own voice, whispering numbers, trying to organize the endless river of moments. Time doesn't have a voice because it isn't a thing that makes a sound. It's the space between one breath and the next, the quiet shift from day to night, the slow growth of a tree. We feel time as change, as memory, as hope. The tick reminds us time is moving, but the real journey of time is something we experience deep inside, in our thoughts and feelings. It's a quiet unfolding, a silent presence we only truly understand by living through it. Have you ever just sat quietly and wondered about time and space? It's a bit like thinking about a story. Does the blank page exist first, waiting for words? Or do the words, as they appear, create the story's world on that page? It's a deep puzzle when we think about our own universe. When we talk about whether time creates space or if space holds time, we're asking about their very basic connection. Imagine walking from your house to school. You're moving through a physical place, that's space. And as you walk, minutes tick by, that's time. So, does the road already exist, just waiting for your journey? Or does your journey, moment by moment, somehow bring that path to life, making it real for you in that moment? For thousands of years, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, like a philosopher named Aristotle, living in Greece a long, long time ago, often pictured space as a giant, empty container, like a big, invisible box. And time was just the way we measured changes happening inside that box. But then, much later, a scientist named Albert Einstein changed everything. He showed us that space and time aren't separate things at all. Instead, they are woven together like threads in one amazing fabric. He called it space-time. This means they don't just sit next to each other, they actually bend and stretch and affect each other. Think of it like this. When you're playing a video game, the world, the space, seems to be there. But only as you move and act, as time passes, does the game's story truly unfold, revealing new parts of that world. Your actions and time create the experience within that digital space. So, maybe it's not about one creating the other, or one holding the other. Perhaps it's more like a constant, quiet dance. They are partners, always together, shaping each other. We can't really pull them apart in our own lives. Our moments happen in places, and places get their meaning from the moments we spend in them. It makes you think about how every step you take and every breath you take is part of this incredible connected mystery. Have you ever stopped and just wondered why time feels so mysterious? It's always there, always moving, like a quiet river flowing past us. We measure its seconds, minutes, and years with clocks and calendars, marking birthdays and seasons. But if you try to peel back those numbers, what do you really find? Time feels like something we can see pass, but we can't truly grab it or see where it truly begins or ends. It doesn't tell us everything about itself. For thousands of years, people have tried to figure out time's deeper meaning. Ancient Greek thinkers, like the famous philosopher Plato, often debated what time even was. Some believed it was a continuous movement, a part of the universe always changing. Others thought it was linked to the endless, repeating cycle of the stars. More recently, a brilliant scientist named Albert Einstein showed us that time isn't even the same for everyone. It can actually speed up or slow down depending on how fast you're moving. That idea makes time seem even more puzzling, doesn't it? It's like time has different speeds for different travelers, but the clock still looks the same. Think about when you are completely lost in something you love, like creating art or playing your favorite video game. An hour can vanish like magic, right? But then, imagine sitting in a really boring class. 5 minutes can feel like an eternity, dragging on and on. The clock still ticks the same, every second passing uniformly, but your experience of time changes completely. This shows us that time isn't just numbers on a clock. It's also how we feel and what we are doing in each moment. So why does time hold back so much from us? Perhaps its secrets are not meant to be fully revealed. Maybe time's quiet mystery is its way of teaching us something important. It pushes us forward, always, without ever looking back. It reminds us that each moment is precious, a tiny piece of that flowing river that we get to experience. Maybe it doesn't give us all the answers so we can focus on living the questions, on truly feeling the seconds as they pass, and finding our own meaning in its silent, steady flow. Have you ever wondered if the minutes tick by differently for each of us? We all share the same clock, the same sun rising and setting, but inside, does time flow at its own unique speed for every person? Imagine that instead of one river of time, there are countless streams, and each of us is floating down our own. For some, the water might rush. For others, it might barely move. This idea means that time isn't just an outside thing, something totally separate from us. It's also deeply tied to our inner world, to our feelings, what we're doing, and even our state of being. Think about it. When you're doing something super fun, like playing your favorite video game or hanging out with friends, how quickly does the hour disappear? It feels like minutes, right? But then, imagine waiting for a long, boring school assembly to end, or just sitting in silence when you're not feeling well. Doesn't that single hour stretch out endlessly, as if time itself has slowed down to a crawl? Philosophers and deep thinkers have puzzled over this for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks, for example, had different words for time. One was chronos, which is like the ticking clock, the measure we all agree on. But another was kairos, which meant the right, perfect moment, a kind of time that felt more about quality and meaning than just seconds and minutes passing by. And even in modern science, certain ideas hint that time isn't always the same for everyone, especially if you consider things like speed or gravity. So, here's the thing. Maybe time isn't just a universal constant, a steady drumbeat for everyone. Maybe it's also a deeply personal experience, shaped by our individual journeys. And that means every moment, whether it feels fast or slow, holds a special, unique value just for us. It makes you think about how truly precious and fleeting each second can be, experienced in our own singular way. Think about that for a moment. Our memories usually hold on to what's already gone, right? The taste of last night's dinner, the sound of rain from yesterday, the feeling of a hug from years ago. But what if our minds could somehow reach forward just a little into what's still to come? Is it possible to remember a moment that hasn't arrived? This idea feels strange because memory is usually about the past, but our minds are amazing. Sometimes we don't truly remember the future, but we do something very close. We imagine it so vividly that it feels real. We predict, we expect, we picture. This mental trick lets us prepare for what's ahead. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosophers and prophets in many old stories, often wrestled with knowing the future. They wondered if some people had a special gift to glimpse what was coming, believing it was more than just guessing. It was a kind of foreknowing, a deep understanding of events before they happened. Here's the thing. While we can't truly remember next Tuesday's math test, you can imagine it. You can picture yourself sitting there, perhaps feeling a little nervous, or maybe feeling confident because you studied hard. You might even play out in your mind how you'll answer a tough question. That vivid picture, that feeling of what will be, is a kind of mental rehearsal. It's not a memory of something that actually occurred, but our brain is creating a very strong idea of it. It's like our minds are constantly building tiny possible futures, trying them out before they happen. So while we can't truly recall tomorrow, our ability to anticipate and imagine helps us shape it. Our minds don't just hold on to yesterday. They are also busy drawing blueprints for what might be. This shows us how truly complex and wonderful our relationship with time really is. It's not just a straight line we walk on. It's a living, breathing landscape our thoughts help create. Have you ever wondered why, sometimes, a feeling about the future, or even just a guess, seems to come true? It can feel a little like magic, but it's usually not. When we talk about predictions actually happening, it's rarely about truly seeing what hasn't happened yet. Instead, it often comes down to understanding patterns, how people behave, and sometimes even the power of our own thoughts. Think of it this way. The world, and especially people, tend to move in ways that can be understood. If you know these common paths well, you can often make a really good guess about where things are headed. Humans have always wanted to know what's next. Long ago, people had oracles or seers who tried to look into tomorrow. They believed special powers or the stars held answers. But even then, some predictions worked not because they were magically seen, but because they changed what people did. If an oracle said a great hero would arrive, people might start looking for that hero, or someone might even decide to become that hero. Here's a simple example from your own life. Imagine a new student joins your class. Someone whispers, "That kid is super shy and won't talk much." If you hear this and believe it, you might not try to talk to them, or your body language might make them feel less comfortable. Because of how you act, they might then actually become shy around you. Your belief, your prediction, help make it true. This is often called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It shows that our expectation of something happening can actually help cause it to happen. Or, think about a weather forecast. Meteorologists predict rain because they study wind patterns, cloud formations, and temperature changes. They aren't seeing the future. They're understanding how the present usually leads to certain future events. It's about what's most likely to happen based on what we know right now. So, when predictions come true, it often tells us something deep about how connected our present is to our future, or how much power our own beliefs and actions can hold. It's less about a fixed future, and more about the ripple effects of choices and the natural patterns of the world around us. It makes us think, what kind of future are we, maybe without even realizing it, helping to create simply by what we expect or believe. Think about a river. It flows and flows always. Does it ever get tired of pushing water downstream? It just keeps going, right? Time can feel a lot like that. We often talk about time as if it's a person. We say, time flies when you're having fun, or time crawls when you're bored. But here's the thing. Time isn't really a thing that can feel tired, or happy, or slow down. It's more like a way we humans understand and measure change. Imagine the earliest thinkers, like the ancient Greek philosophers. They didn't see time as something separate that moved all by itself. Instead, they thought of time as the very act of things changing. If a seed grew into a tree or day turned into night, that was time happening. Time wasn't a separate river. It was the river's flow itself. It was tied directly to movement and events. So if things were always changing, then time was always present. It wasn't something that needed to do anything. It just was as things unfolded. So, does time get tired? Probably not in the way we get tired after a long day. It doesn't have a body or a mind that needs rest. But this thought makes us think about a steady, quiet march. Every second, every minute moves forward without fail. It's like a whisper that never stops, always there, always flowing. This constant movement can be a comforting thought, actually. It means there's always a new moment coming, a new chance, a new beginning. Time isn't something that rests. It's the quiet, unchanging rhythm that lets everything else happen. Have you ever felt like time is rushing past you, or maybe standing still when you're bored? But here's a thought. What if it's not time that's changing, but us? This idea, what if time is just waiting for us to catch up? isn't about time physically slowing down. It's about how we understand it. Maybe time, in its true form, is always there, vast and unchanging. We, as humans, are still learning to truly see its full picture, like trying to understand a huge ocean from just a tiny boat on its surface. Many thinkers throughout history, from ancient Greek philosophers to modern scientists, have wondered about time. They've often felt like our everyday experience of time, seconds ticking, days passing, is just one small way our minds make sense of something much bigger and stranger. It's almost like our human brains are still downloading the complete program of what time really is. They believe there's a deeper truth to time that we haven't fully grasped yet. Think about learning a really difficult subject in school, like advanced algebra or a new language. At first, the ideas seem impossible to understand. They feel too big, too complex. But then, after a lot of effort and thought, something just clicks. You don't change the subject. The subject was always there. What changed was your understanding. You caught up to the idea. Maybe time is like that. It's always been there, whole and complete. We're the ones slowly growing into a fuller awareness of what it truly is. So, what if time isn't rushing us, but patiently holding still, inviting us to look closer, to think deeper? Perhaps the journey isn't about controlling time, but about expanding our minds enough to finally truly grasp its quiet mystery. It's a gentle thought that the universe and time within it hold secrets that will reveal themselves when we are ready to see them. Have you ever stepped inside a really old house, maybe one that's been around for 100 years or more, and felt a strange quietness, like the very air holds secrets? It's almost as if time itself slowed down there, or got tangled up in the old wooden beams and dusty windows. We often wonder why places like this feel so heavy with the past. Here's the thing. Old houses are like giant, silent witnesses. They stand firm while generations live, laugh, and cry within their walls. Every single moment, every conversation, every ordinary day leaves a tiny, invisible imprint. It's not magic, but it's a feeling woven from countless human experiences. Think of it like this. Your favorite old blanket isn't just fabric. It remembers all the movie nights and comfy naps it shared with you. It holds those memories, even if you can't see them. People have always thought about how places carry the past. Ancient philosophers, for example, might have said that time isn't just a straight line going forward, but more like a vast, endless space where everything that ever happened still exists in some way. An old house, then, isn't just a building. It's a spot where many, many layers of that past have settled and collected. The floorboards creak not just from age, but from the weight of footsteps that have walked there for decades. The peeling wallpaper might hide the quiet hopes of someone long gone. So when you feel that unique sense of captured time in an old house, it's a calm reminder. It tells us that even though moments pass and people move on, their echoes linger. The past isn't truly gone. It simply becomes part of the world around us, especially in places that have stood strong and watched time unfold. Have you ever tried to touch time? To really grab it, hold it in your hand, or see its shape? It's impossible, isn't it? We can watch the clock, see the hands move, or count the seconds, but we can't actually see time itself. It's not a color, a sound, or a solid thing, and yet it shapes everything. It makes the young old, the new worn, and the future the past. How can something that holds such incredible power over our lives, something that affects every single moment, remain completely unseen? For thousands of years, people have pondered this mystery. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, spoke about how everything flows, like a river you can never step into twice. He wasn't talking about water, but about time's constant unseen movement. They understood that even though time is invisible, its presence is felt through change, the way seasons turn, the way we grow taller, the way mountains slowly erode. They used the sun's path and the moon's phases to mark time, knowing it was there, silently pushing everything forward. Think about the wind. You can't see the wind itself, can you? But you can see its effects. Leaves rustling, flags waving, trees bending. You feel it on your skin. Time is a lot like that. We don't see time, but we see what it does. We see a tiny acorn grow into a mighty oak tree over many years. We see our own faces change as we age. Time is the silent force behind all these shifts, always present, always moving, even when we aren't paying attention. It's a quiet guide, a constant current that carries us all. This makes time not less real, but perhaps even more profound, because its power doesn't come from being seen, but from simply being. Its invisibility is part of its endless mystery. Have you ever felt a moment truly stop? Not physically, of course, but in your mind, as if time held its breath just for that one experience. It's a strange thing, isn't it? We live through thousands of moments every day, but only a handful truly stick with us. These are the ones that become like anchors in the swirling river of time. They aren't just remembered, they feel different. They carry a weight, a sparkle, a deep echo that ordinary moments don't. It's like our minds have a special vault for these particular memories, keeping them from fading. For a long, long time, thinkers and philosophers have wondered about this. The ancient Greeks, for example, talked about memory as a sacred gift, a way to keep the past alive. They felt that when something truly important happened, it left a deep mark on us. It's not just about recalling facts, it's about refilling the emotion. This is why our experiences truly shape who we are. They understood that memory wasn't just a record, it was a living part of us. Think about the first time you rode a bike without anyone holding on, or maybe the moment you finally understood a really tough math problem. In that instant, something shifted. It wasn't just a regular Tuesday, it was that Tuesday. Your brain didn't just record it, it made it stand out forever, painted in bright colors. This is because these moments often connect with strong feelings, joy, surprise, relief, or even a little bit of fear. Our emotions act like a powerful glue, helping these moments stick. Here's the thing, those moments don't become timeless because time stops. They become timeless because they touch something deep inside us. They become part of our story, helping us understand who we are and what matters. They remind us that even though time keeps moving forward, some parts of our journey can truly last forever in our minds and hearts. These memories are like quiet whispers from the past, reminding us of the beauty of simply living and feeling. Have you ever really looked at an old family photo, or maybe watched a tiny seed grow into a tall plant? You don't just see the picture or the plant. You see change. You see yourself growing up, or the plant getting bigger. This makes you wonder, what if time isn't a big, invisible river flowing past us, but actually just this? What if time is simply how things move, grow, and transform? Imagine a world where absolutely nothing ever moved or changed. No leaves rustling, no clouds drifting, no hearts beating. Would there still be time? Or would everything just be? This thought suggests that time isn't something separate that exists on its own. Instead, it might be the way we describe the fact that things are always happening and becoming different. When an apple ripens or a star fades, we say time has passed. But maybe time passing is just another way of saying the apple changed or the star changed. Thinkers from a long, long time ago, like the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, explored this idea. He didn't see time as an empty container that events happened inside. Instead, he thought time was something connected directly to movement and change. For him, you couldn't have time without change, because time was literally the number of motion with respect to before and after. In simpler words, it's how we count changes happening one after another. So when you bake a cake, the time it takes isn't a separate ingredient. It's the process of the batter changing into a fluffy cake in the oven. The eggs, flour, and sugar change their state. The heat changes their chemical structure. That whole unfolding transformation is the time we talk about. This way of thinking makes every single moment feel precious. It means time isn't just something that rushes by. It's the living, breathing pulse of the universe, found in every leaf unfurling, every wave breaking, every thought shifting in our minds. It makes us more aware of the amazing dance of becoming that is always happening, all around us, and deep inside us too. Time, then, is not what passes, but what happens. Have you ever just sat quietly, maybe in bed, and closed your eyes? What happens to time then? Does it rush by, or does it slow down until it feels like forever? It's a curious question, isn't it? When we shut out the world, we lose our most active sense, sight. And that changes how our brains measure the moments. Think about it this way. Our minds usually use external clues to keep track. The clock on the wall, the sun moving across the sky, friends walking by, the changing light outside the window. But when your eyes are closed, those clues disappear. Your brain has to rely more on internal signals, like your breathing or your thoughts. This can make time feel stretched or compressed, depending on what your mind is doing. For a long time, philosophers have wondered about this. St. Augustine, a thinker from way back in history, wrote a lot about how time isn't just something out there ticking away, but also something we feel and experience inside our own minds. He knew that if you're bored, an hour can feel like a day. But if you're having fun, an hour vanishes like a whisper. When we close our eyes, we kind of step away from the clock of the world and into the clock of our own thoughts and feelings. So imagine you're waiting for a special package to arrive. If you're constantly looking out the window, checking the time, it might feel like the minutes are crawling. But if you put on some headphones, close your eyes, and just relax, letting your mind wander, you might suddenly open your eyes and realize much more time has passed than you expected. Without visual distractions, your mind has more room to play, and sometimes that makes the clock seem to fade away. It reminds us that time isn't just a number, it's a feeling, a deep, personal rhythm that changes with our inner world. Have you ever stopped to wonder why it's so hard to just be right here, right now? It feels like our minds are always pulling us in different directions. We're either remembering something from yesterday or planning what we'll do tomorrow. The present moment, this tiny sliver of now, often feels like it slips through our fingers without us even noticing. It's almost as if our brains have a built-in time machine. We might be sitting in class, but our thoughts are back on a funny thing that happened at lunch. Or we're looking ahead to the bell ringing, dreaming about what we'll do after school. The now is constantly vanishing, making it tough to really feel it. For thousands of years, wise thinkers have talked about this very thing. Ancient philosophers and spiritual teachers, for example, often pointed out that humans struggle to live fully in the present. They spoke about mindfulness, which is just a fancy way of saying paying attention to the present moment. They saw that our minds love to wander. This wandering helps us learn from the past and plan for the future, which is super helpful. But it also means we sometimes miss the quiet beauty of what's happening exactly when it's happening. Think about eating your favorite snack. Are you just tasting that delicious crunch and flavor, or are you already thinking about finishing it or remembering the last time you had it? It's like watching a movie, but always fast forwarding or rewinding instead of just enjoying the scene that's playing. Maybe it's because the now feels so brief, so quick to disappear. The past feels solid, something we can hold on to with memories, and the future feels full of exciting possibilities. But in constantly looking backward or ahead, we might be letting life's gentle moments, the quiet hum of the present, simply pass us by. It's a soft reminder that sometimes the deepest experiences are found not in what was or what will be, but in the single breath you're taking right this second. Have you ever noticed how a single day can start with sunshine in your heart, only to bring a cloud of sadness, then a burst of laughter, and finally, a quiet peace by bedtime? It's kind of strange, isn't it? How a clock just ticks steadily, but our insides can feel like a roller coaster. Here's the thing. Time isn't just about seconds and minutes passing by. It's also a container, a kind of invisible jar that holds all our experiences and emotions. Think about it like this. A day is a canvas. When you wake up, it's blank. But as the hours go on, you paint it with different colors, the bright yellows of happiness, the calm blues of peace, maybe even the stormy grays of frustration. Ancient thinkers, like the old Greek philosophers, used to wonder about this very idea. They didn't have clocks like ours, but they understood that time felt different depending on what was happening. A boring moment might drag on forever, while a fun hour could flash by in an instant. They knew our inner world changes constantly, even if the sun just keeps rising and setting. So, how can one day hold so much? It's because our minds and bodies are constantly reacting. Think about a school day. Maybe you feel excited about a project in the morning. Then, you might feel a little worried about a pop quiz. Later, you laugh loudly with friends at lunch. By the time you're home, you might feel tired but happy. Each of these moments, though part of the same 24 hours, stirs up different feelings inside you. And that's why it matters. This constant flow of emotion means every single day is completely unique. It's not just a block of time, but a rich, layered journey of the heart and mind. Have you ever noticed how time sometimes feels like it's on your side, and other times it feels like it's working against you? It's a strange thing, isn't it? One moment, time is a comforting friend, moving slowly when you're having fun, letting you savor every laugh and every sunny afternoon. But then it can suddenly turn into an enemy, rushing past too fast when you need more hours, pushing you with deadlines, or marking the end of something you wish would last forever. For a long, long time, people have thought about this push and pull. Ancient Greek thinkers even had two different words for time. One was chronos, which is the regular ticking clock time. The minutes and hours that just keep going, one after another. This is the kind of time that can feel like an enemy, always moving forward, making us older, bringing big tests or deadlines. But they also had kairos, which wasn't about clock time at all. Kairos was about the right moment, the perfect opportunity, the time that felt just right and meaningful, like when a sudden idea clicks in your head. This is time as a friend, a moment of connection or sudden understanding. So, it's not just us today who feel this way. People centuries ago felt the same. Think about a long summer break. In the beginning, time seems endless. You have all these plans, and the days stretch out like a warm blanket. Time feels like a true friend, giving you freedom and endless possibilities. But then, suddenly, you realize it's August. School is just around the corner, and those long, easy days are slipping away too fast. Here's the thing. That same time, those same minutes and hours, suddenly feel like an enemy, stealing your freedom. So, time isn't really changing its mind about us. It's how we feel about what's happening within that time. When we're happy or hopeful, time feels good, like a gentle current carrying us along. But when we're stressed, sad, or facing something we don't want, time can feel like a harsh storm, pushing us. It reminds us that time is neutral, but our hearts give it meaning, making it feel like a friend or an enemy in different moments of our lives. We learn to live with both, knowing each feeling will pass. Have you ever noticed how some things seem to happen again and again? Not exactly the same, but similar feelings, similar challenges, like a tune playing in your head on repeat. This thought can make us wonder about time itself. What if time isn't just a straight line, always moving forward from past to future? What if it's more like a giant room, and every event, every feeling, every choice we make creates a sound? And that sound bounces off the walls, coming back to us, maybe in a slightly different form, but still recognizable. This idea that time might echo suggests that patterns from the past aren't truly gone. They might resonate, influencing what happens now, or even hinting at what's to come. It's a thought that people have considered for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, long before modern science, sometimes believed time wasn't a line, but a circle. They saw the seasons return, the sun rise and set, life and death cycling, and wondered if big historical events also had their own kind of return. Not identical copies, but echoes of similar struggles, victories, and mistakes. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously said, "You cannot step into the same river twice." But he also meant that while the water changes, the river itself, the idea of it, remains. It flows on, always new, yet always the same river. It's like that with time, always moving, but maybe carrying echoes of what was. Think about how emotions can echo through a family. Maybe your grandparents faced a certain fear, and even if you don't know the exact story, you might find a similar fear subtly affecting your family's choices today. It's not a direct copy, but a feeling, a pattern that has reverberated through time. Or consider how a popular song from decades ago might inspire a new hit today, not by being copied, but by its melody or feeling echoing in a fresh way. So, if time is an echo chamber, it means our past isn't just behind us, forgotten. It's still here, whispering, humming, shaping the present. And the choices we make now, they're not just for us. They're sounds that will echo into the future, contributing to the symphony or the noise. It gives us a gentle push to think about what kind of echoes we want to create, and how we might listen for the wisdom or even the warnings from the echoes of yesterday. Have you ever stopped to really wonder about the clock on the wall? It ticks, minute by minute, hour by hour. We live by these numbers. School starts then, dinner is now, But here's the thing. We measure time, track it, divide it. Yet do we truly understand what it is? Think about it this way. We measure a shadow's length, but that doesn't mean we fully grasp what light is. Or we measure how fast wind blows, but we can't grab a piece of it. Time is kind of like that. We have our tools, clocks, calendars, Earth's spin around the sun. These help us organize our days and years. Long ago, people watched the sun and moon to mark days and seasons. They built structures like Stonehenge, aligning them with the sun's path. They were brilliant at observing time, seeing its patterns, but they didn't claim to know what time is. They simply found ways to live within its flow. Even today, scientists measure time with incredible precision, using atomic clocks. Yet, if you ask a scientist, what is time really? You might get a thoughtful pause. Some say it's like another dimension, like space. Others wonder if it even exists outside our minds. Consider your school day. You have 45 minutes for math, 30 for lunch. We measure these chunks, but 45 minutes of math can feel like forever if you're bored, while 45 minutes of recess flies by. The numbers are the same, but your feeling of time changes. So, we found clever ways to put numbers on something so fluid. Perhaps our measurement tools are just helpful maps, guiding us. And that's okay. Sometimes, the most useful things are those we can live with, even if their deepest secrets remain out of reach. Have you ever stopped to think about those two simple words, next time? They hold so much quiet power, don't they? When we say them, it's not just about a future moment. It's about a feeling. It's about hope. Here's the thing. Next time means we believe in another chance. It means we trust that time will move forward and we'll get another opportunity to try again, to do better, or to simply experience something new. It's like saying, this moment might not be perfect or it might be over, but another one is coming and it holds potential. This idea of always looking forward, always expecting a next time, is deeply rooted in how humans think about the world. For a long, long time, thinkers and storytellers have talked about hope as something that keeps us going. It's not just a wish, it's an expectation that the future holds possibility. Even ancient philosophers, when they thought about what it means to be human, often included this ability to imagine and work towards a better tomorrow. It's part of our human spirit, this persistent belief in the future. Think about it this way. Say you're playing a video game and you mess up a level. Instead of quitting, you hit retry or tell your friend, next time, I'm going to beat that boss. That's not just a plan. It's a feeling of possibility, a belief that you've learned something and the next attempt will be different. It's the same feeling when you're trying to learn a new skill, like playing guitar, and you hit a wrong note. You don't give up. You tell yourself, next time, my fingers will get it right. So saying next time isn't just about time moving on. It's a small act of faith in ourselves and in the endless, unfolding nature of time. It reminds us that every ending is also a new beginning, full of fresh chances. It's a quiet promise that we make to tomorrow. Have you ever thought about how time feels so real, yet also so slippery? It rushes by or it crawls along. But what if it isn't time that's moving at all? What if the now we live in isn't a flowing stream, but more like a single still point that we are constantly passing through? Imagine the universe isn't like a river flowing past you, with moments rushing downstream. Instead, picture it as a massive, unchanging sculpture, or a giant, endless photo album. Every single moment that has ever happened, or ever will happen, is already there, like a fixed picture on a page. And we, everything alive, are just moving through this giant album, turning each page, experiencing one fixed moment after another. Time isn't flowing. We are moving through its still landscape. This idea that time doesn't really flow has been thought about for a very long time. Philosophers, people who just think really deeply about life and the world, have wondered about this for thousands of years. Back in ancient Greece, some thinkers questioned if change was even real. They thought maybe everything just is all at once, and our idea of things changing is just how we experience it, like watching a movie frame by frame. Even modern scientists, like Albert Einstein with his ideas about space-time, have explored similar thoughts, suggesting that past, present, and future might all exist at once, like different points on a map. Think of it like watching a movie on a DVD or a streaming service. All the scenes from the very beginning to the very end, are already stored there, fixed on the disk or server. When you watch it, it feels like the movie is playing and moving forward. But the movie itself isn't actually moving. You are just experiencing its fixed scenes in a specific order. Each frame is still, and you move through them. So if time is standing still, and we're the ones moving, it changes how we see everything. It means every single second, every laugh, every whispered secret, every quiet sunrise you've ever seen isn't lost or gone forever. Instead, it's a fixed part of this grand, unchanging existence. It's like every memory isn't just in your head, but a permanent point in the universe, and we are just walking past them. It gives a deep, quiet wonder to every breath we take. Does every second truly matter? Have you ever stopped to think about a single second? Just one. Does it really hold any weight? Or is it just a tiny, invisible tick on a clock? We often think about time in big chunks, a whole day, a week, a year, or even a lifetime stretching out before us. But what about those super tiny, blink and you miss it moments that make up those bigger chunks? Here's the thing, time itself, in the grand scheme of the universe, doesn't really care. A second is just a second, a standardized measure. But we, as humans, are the ones who give it meaning. Sometimes, a second feels like nothing at all, just gone. Other times, it can feel like it stretches on forever, or like it holds everything important within it. Ancient thinkers, like the Roman philosopher Seneca, spent a lot of time talking about the idea of valuing the present moment. They weren't counting seconds with a stopwatch like we do today, but they understood that our lives are made up of these now moments. Seneca would often say that we shouldn't just let these moments slip away while we're always waiting for something bigger or better to happen. He believed that the past is already gone, and the future isn't here yet. So the now is really all you truly have control over. It's about being awake and aware of where you are right then, in that very moment. Think about it. In a basketball game, one single second can be the difference between winning and losing, between a buzzer beater shot or a missed chance. Or in your own school day, 1 second might be when you decide to offer a kind word to someone who looks down. Or you decide to help a friend pick up their dropped books. That small, quick decision made in just a second can totally change their afternoon or even impact how they feel about their whole day. It's not about grand, dramatic gestures every time. It's often the small, almost invisible choices we make in those quick, fleeting moments. So, does every second truly matter? Maybe not in some huge, universe-shaking way, but they absolutely matter in our lives. They are the countless tiny threads that weave together the much bigger picture of who we are, what we do, and the kind of person we become. Each second, no matter how brief, is a small chance, a quiet invitation to notice, to choose, to be present. It's a chance to add just a little bit of meaning to the grand, flowing river of time. And that's why, in our own small human way, those little seconds can feel truly vast and important. Have you ever felt like the day just isn't long enough? Like no matter how much time you have, there's always more to do and you're constantly rushing? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This constant pressure to squeeze more and more into the hours we have. Here's the thing. Our minds often work like a container. If you have a small box, you put a few things in it. But if you get a bigger box, you naturally start finding more things to fill it up. Time can be like that big box. The more time we think we have for something, the more tasks we tend to find to fill that time. It's not that the actual amount of time shrinks, but our sense of what should be done within it expands. Think about how people lived long ago. Before precise clocks and busy schedules, life moved to the rhythm of the sun and seasons. There was work, of course, but also periods of waiting, watching, and resting that were just part of the day. They didn't have a constant stream of information telling them what else they could be doing. Our world today is different. We have so many options, so many things calling for our attention: school, hobbies, sports, friends, social media, games. It feels like we need to do it all the time. This idea of always being productive or busy has become a big part of how we see a good life. Imagine you have an hour to finish your homework. If you know you have that hour, your brain will probably make sure the work takes up most of it. But if suddenly you only had 30 minutes, you might find a way to get it done faster. the work expands to fill the time we give it. We try to pack our days like overstuffed suitcases, thinking we need to carry every single item. Maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't that time is disappearing. It's that we've taught ourselves to fear the empty spaces. We've learned to feel guilty if we're not constantly doing something. But sometimes the most important things happen in those quiet moments, in the gaps we leave for simply being, breathing, and noticing the world around us. Perhaps time isn't meant to be filled to the brim, but live with grace, one moment at a time. Have you ever stopped to think about how time seems to do two completely opposite things at once? It marks the end of something, a final goodbye, but then, almost in the very next breath, it opens a door to something totally new. It's like time is constantly saying both the end and once upon a time in the same moment. Here's the thing, time isn't just a straight line that moves only forward. It's also like a series of cycles, like a big gentle breath that life takes. Every ending that time brings creates the space needed for a new beginning. Imagine a tree in autumn. Its leaves turn bright colors, then fall to the ground. That's an ending for those leaves, a quiet farewell. But those fallen leaves break down, becoming part of the earth, feeding the tree for new buds in the spring. So, the end of autumn's leaves is really the beginning of new life in spring. Ancient thinkers, people who lived long ago, saw this pattern everywhere in nature. They watched the sun rise and set each day, saw the moon wax and wane, and understood how seasons changed. They realized that nothing truly disappears forever. It simply changes form or makes way for something else. This idea helped them understand that endings aren't always sad or final. They are a natural, necessary part of growth and change. It's like closing one chapter of a book so you can open the next one. The story doesn't stop. It just moves on to new adventures. Think about a school day. When the final bell rings, that's an ending, right? It's the end of classes for the day. But that same bell is also a beginning. It's the start of your evening, your time to relax, or to begin your homework, or to hang out with friends. So, the very same moment marks both an end and a start. It's how time gently moves us forward. This continuous dance of endings and beginnings is what makes life so rich and always full of possibility. Time helps us let go of what's finished, but it also always whispers promises of what's next. It shows us that every farewell holds a hidden hello. Have you ever noticed how a minute can feel like forever when you're bored in class, but an hour flies by when you're playing your favorite video game? Clocks are so exact. They tick the same way everywhere in the world. A second is always a second, and a minute is always a minute, right? But then, why does time itself feel so different inside our heads? Here's the thing, there are two kinds of time. There's clock time, which is what we call objective time. It's measured by instruments, clocks, calendars. It's steady and doesn't care if you're having fun or not. It's the same for everyone, like a big invisible ruler. Then there's felt time, or subjective time. This is how time passes in your mind and heart. This kind of time changes. It speeds up, it slows down. It stretches and shrinks depending on what you're doing, how you're feeling, and even who you're with. People have thought about this for a very long time. Ancient thinkers and even later philosophers wonder why the moment we're living in seems to shift its pace. They realize that while the sun rises and sets at a predictable rate, our experience of those days is anything but predictable. It's like when you're really excited for a holiday. The days leading up to it crawl by, but the actual holiday itself, it's over in a flash, isn't it? That's because our emotions and how much attention we're paying play a huge part. When we're absorbed in something, our brains aren't focused on counting minutes. When we're waiting, every tick of the clock is magnified. So, while clocks give us a shared way to organize our days, the true feeling of time is a personal journey. It's a quiet dance between the steady ticking of the world and the ever-changing rhythm of our own inner lives. It reminds us that time isn't just numbers on a clock. It's also a feeling, a memory, a heartbeat. Have you ever watched a movie and known how it ends, but you still enjoy watching all the moments leading up to it? Or read a book where the whole story is already printed on the pages, even before you turn them? What if time works a bit like that? It's a way of thinking that asks, what if our lives, our whole universe, aren't really moving through time, but are more like a massive, endless story that's already complete? We just experience it, moment by moment, like reading a book one page at a time. The past, present, and future wouldn't be things that change or appear. They would all just exist together like different chapters in the same huge book. This idea isn't new. Ancient Greek thinkers sometimes talked about fate and destiny in ways that hinted at this. They believed some things were just set to happen, like events on a timeline that already exists. More recently, some scientists, especially in physics, have explored something called the block universe theory. Don't worry about the big words, but it basically suggests that all of time, past, present, future might exist together as one big unchanging block. It's like a giant four-dimensional sculpture, and we're just moving our attention across its surface, experiencing different parts of it. Think about your favorite song. When you play it, you hear one note after another, creating a melody. But the whole song, from beginning to end, already exists on the recording. You're just experiencing it as it plays out. Our lives could be like that song. The whole melody is already there. We're just listening to it unfold. So, if time is just a story unfolding, does that change how we feel about our choices? Maybe not as much as you think. Even if the story is there, we still get to live out each moment with wonder, curiosity, and meaning. It makes life feel less like a rushing river we're battling against, and more like a mysterious, beautiful narrative we're a part of, page by fascinating page. It's a way to see time not as something we lose, but as something we continually discover. Have you ever stared at the clock, then looked away for just a moment, and suddenly an hour was gone? It feels like time just vanished, doesn't it? We talk about losing track of time or making up for lost time. But can time truly get lost? Like a misplaced key or a dropped coin? The truth is, time isn't a thing we can hold on to or misplace. It's not a river that dries up or a book that closes. Instead, time is how we measure, change the journey of everything from one moment to the next. Think about it. The sun rises and sets, seasons turn, we grow older. These are all changes, and time helps our minds make sense of that constant movement. For thousands of years, people have pondered this. Ancient cultures often saw time as a circle, like the cycles of the moon or the harvest. It never really stopped for them. It just kept flowing back around. Later, thinkers saw it more like a straight line, always moving forward. But they understood it wasn't something that could disappear. When we say time is lost, what we often mean is that our awareness of it faded. Imagine you're completely absorbed in drawing or playing your favorite game. Hours might pass, but you don't notice them slipping by because your mind is focused elsewhere. The time still happened. The clock kept ticking. You just weren't paying attention to its passing. It's like being so deep in a dream that you don't realize the world outside is moving. The world doesn't stop, you're just not tuned into it. So, time doesn't get lost in the same way we lose a pencil. It's more about how our minds experience and record it. Every second, every minute, keeps moving forward, carrying everything with it. Maybe those moments we lost were just times we were so deeply involved, so completely present, that the usual measurement of time simply faded into the background. It's not gone, it was just a different kind of moment, rich in its own way.